working on is, just being fully transparent with anybody that I meet. So this was actually a challenge to myself to, go online and just be my authentic self. And, like a lot of people say that they don't care about people's opinions or this and that, but this was a big test for me because, I say that too, and I truly believe it in a, like, don't get me wrong, like if it's somebody I respect, I will still listen to their opinion. I will take the advice, but at the end of the day, for me, I will do what I feel will make me happy. Right. So going back to full circle, I will gladly go first because I know some of these questions can be tough.
Give me one quick second because I have a horrible producer who is myself and realized that the first 20 to 35, 45 minute and a half or so seconds, we were not doing anything but talking to ourselves. So, quick recap.
Perfect.
This is
This is a good trial.
So this is how unprofessional professional I'm going to keep it. Again, or for the first time for those tuning in, I have Danny. Danny, is that Danny Old 19? However you
Yep.
want to. All right, cool. Danny Old 19, and he's going to represent the guys for right now. And I have the lovely at the underscore Ashley Nicole. I'm not going to make them talk about what they're sipping on because I didn't say what I was sipping on, but I'm going to go back. Ashley is out drinking Danny with the honey bourbon. So she's fully committed to have a good time, and I appreciate that because it's a happy hour and it's Friday, and you've made it through your work week. So that's wonderful. Or because of COVID, you probably might not be employed, and this might be the only fun that you have tonight. So you need to have a drink. So if you got a blue ribbon and that's what you brought home, then go ahead and drink your blue ribbon. I am drinking. I always like to show it. Let's see if I can get this right. This Belizean rum that I got going to Belize. I have no unique story as to why I chose this tonight, other than I did not want to open a bottle of pure Hennessy because it might be at a premium right now. So, with that being said, we're talking about dating, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about how to get a date, where to find a date, a limit date, blind date, whatever date you can get there. Love connections. If you got a friend, find a friend. If I could flash your phone number, then I will. But if you find your loved one somewhere on this show tonight, you can hit me up at Critical Hustle. I'll make a proper introduction after you've been vetted. So, the question of the night to start with was, Danny, tell me about your dating experience
My
thus
dating
far.
experience. So let me go all the way back to 2000 and what, 8. So back when I was about 20 years old, I dated my college girlfriend, and we ended up getting married actually pretty early, about 22, right when we graduated college. And then after that, we were married for 7 years. So I've actually only been dating in my adult life for the past 2 years, which I would say it's interesting. Like things have definitely changed, right? So like the internet is a big factor. Obviously, back when I was dating, there was no Tinder or Hinge or any of those dating apps, and also we didn't have what I would say is like the like unattainable standards that filters tend to, like, project upon people. Because like even me, like right now, if you look at my eyes, like obviously I look tired. I've been up since like 7 a.m., but if I put a filter on there, I would look so beautiful. Like that the thing about that is that people's, from movies and or social media, I feel like people's standards are a lot higher than what real life actually is like. And I feel like that's a problem when you actually start dating, because they have these expectations where they're all the way up here, and but real life is like right here. So I don't know. What do you think, Ashley?
I agree. As far as me and dating, um, I don't know. I kind of started actually dating kind of late, so I'm like learning dating and like what's acceptable or what I'm going to accept, and getting to where it's like, okay, yeah, that's good for somebody that's not me. But I will agree with the social media and with like the dating apps and stuff. There's like a weird kind of like list of requirements that don't all the time fit the situation.
So you guys both brought up an interesting point. And Danny, I haven't had a lot to drink, but I need to make sure I heard you correctly. So are you currently married or
Oh no, I've been divorced for 2 years.
okay, that's why I was lost. I was like, wait, he said
Yeah, I
married, then dating
probably
don't have to.
look. So I'm very ADD. So if I go on a tangent, please bring me back, and then we can continue from there.
Oh no, no,
So
no, you're fine. I just wanted to make sure one that I didn't set Ashley up for failure in case this turns into a love connection, and then two, because I wanted to be the main course, not the extra. So I just want to make sure that it all blends together correctly. But you guys bring up points of getting to date like late, right? Um, one of the things that I am married, so let me clarify that. But it's interesting because I'm from California. We started dating like my first date was at 8, right? Like real on this is a date. I had a girlfriend, like the classic school girlfriend there. We went on a
yeah,
date, and if she sees this, because we are friends on Facebook, then she'll hear. But I know her mom is. Her mom was my teacher. Anyway, so she was my girlfriend. We went on a date. We went on 2 dates. We went to the movies, and we saw Peter Pan. I bought popcorn. I did all the things that I guess you think to do as a date at 8. This is just there. We went to the movies. We sat and watched the movie. It was fine. Yes, I did say 8. Sorry, somebody made a comment, but it was pretty cool. Like it wasn't. It wasn't. Let's say this. At that time of being 8, it was the 80s. It wasn't so sexualized as things are now. So it was just like, hey, I just want to hold hands, and this is my girlfriend. So probably didn't even know to do anything else other than we just did that. So it was really cool. But we did that. We went and saw the movie. So that was like the first date. My second date, we went ice skating. Yes, I know how to ice skate enough not to die. So we go
as
ice skating. I bought her a hot chocolate. I
long
bought
as you
chicken
don't
to
die.
right because I mean, listen, I was a little kid from Compton in ice skating. I don't know someplace, but it was nothing made weird about it. But that was my dating expectation. Like I may even brought her a flower. I don't know where all that came from, but my mom wasn't influencing it. It just this was my view of as the date. I'm supposed to pay for her hot chocolate. I'm supposed to buy her a hot dog if she wants to. By the time I got to high school, we were dating for real. Like Friday, I'm going to the Olive Garden. I'm taking my girlfriend somewhere specific there. I moved to Texas, and it's like went to college here at TSU, and it would be amazing to me to hear how there was no more dating. Like the date aspect was completely lost. So when because you guys are both from Texas originally, I'm just make sure
Yep,
I'm
Houston, Texas,
okay.
and for most of my life.
All right, actually, I have no idea where you're from now. I'm sorry. It's like I don't even know you.
I'm from Newton, Mississippi, but my dating began in Baton Rouge when I was in college at Southern University A&M College.
Were they dating
In
out there?
Houston
Yeah.
for 12 years now.
Okay. Well, I don't know what they were doing out there in Southern or in Mississippi, but if you asked a girl out, you had to take her somewhere. She had to go. You had to go somewhere. And I remember saving up all my little gas money the end of the week so that on Friday night I was going to be able to go someplace that was not Mick or Burger, anything. So dating just always seemed like the thing to do. So I'm always thinking how to perfect dating. But dating late, how has that experience been? Because chances are you're dating someone who's had way more dating experience. So does it feel awkward? What do you get from it?
Who are you asking first?
Okay, fine. If I'm gonna pick Ashley because you went first last time.
So dating late is kind of weird as a woman because so for me the reason I dated late was because at home there's nobody to date. And then in college I was busy and then eventually began to date. But I kind of like started dating at the beginning. It wasn't necessarily Netflix and chill yet, but there was immediately excuses to not go out. So my first dates were like hanging out or going to the pier at Southern or to the Bluff or whatever, because we're right on the Mississippi River. But aside from that, like dating was kind of like the expectation and what actually happened. I was low key kind of let down because I'm like, ain't nobody taking me nowhere. We just going to sit at the on the park bench at the Bluff and look at water. And then like especially when I first got to Houston, I'm quiet. I don't know anybody, so I'm meeting people on online and stuff. And I'm like, okay, we got to go to a place that's well lit, and you know, people are there because I don't want to die today. So with those days, I dated like a few guys, and like you know, it's movies, dinner, and then I started dating like they be getting mad at me. I started dating like Nigerians and other people from other countries, African countries. Or I dated this one Middle Eastern guy, but like the difference was like night and day. Like what just happened? I don't see y'all anymore.
Well,
It's because you're
I made you to focus.
Okay,
because you're talking.
So you got important, and I wanted to make sure people were able to focus on you and not looking to see what I was doing.
The difference was like night and day because it's like, hey, you want to do this, and then like so I meet them and we go eat, we go all these places. Everywhere we stop, they pay for the food. They came up with the idea of where to go. So now I'm getting to go to restaurants I hadn't been before. I'm getting trying different foods, doing all these things, and nobody's asking anything of me except for that I show up and be pretty. Whereas my previous dating experience was like, yeah, want to go to the Bluff, or yeah, want to come to my place we can cook. And I'm like, I got food in my apartment, so what makes this a date?
That's interesting. I'm gonna come back to that because that's interesting. Dan, what about you? Let's talk about what it's like to get back out in the field.
So there was one thing that Ashley said that definitely resonated to me, and the biggest thing, and I actually appreciate it, is the fact that women do have to be extra careful because I mean you've seen in 2020 the things that can happen and all of that. So I do see that a lot where women are initially skeptical or like let's meet in public place, which makes complete sense. Like I actually support that 100%. That way like you're safe and everything, but that's the initial barrier you have to get over to is like, hey, I'm not a serial killer. Like I'm just a normal guy. I go to work, this is that. But I mean, there's a bunch of weird people out there, so I understand that. Um, the other thing I would say is as far as dating now, it's mostly just happy hours, right? Like so nobody goes and like sits there and has like a full you do every now and then, but for the most part it's like the initial meetup is, hey, let's see if we even vibe. So it's like let's have a couple drinks, and then if you can get past those drinks, then you either might stay for dinner that night or you'll have like dinner another night. But like the way dating is now, it's just like hey, let's have a quick, it's almost like a job interview, I would say. Like an initial like let me look at you, like let me make sure like one, you look like what you posted on the internet, because that's a thing too. Catfishing is a thing, which I understand, but I also sometimes get confused because it's like, I'm going to meet you in person, right? So, but what I will say is, doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm always down to have a beer with anybody or a drink. So, regardless if you catfish me or not, we're still gonna have an amazing day. We're gonna have a awesome time talking and everything. But but that is one thing that does happen. And then the second thing again, it's just like it's like an initial job interview. It's almost like a preliminary kind of thing before you ever even get to the, hey, let me wine and dine you stage.
So I find that super interesting. Really, because I think, so let me say this. I actually met my wife online. So I am pro online dating. Now don't get me wrong, it takes a lot of practice. You kind of got to master the filtering system. But by the time I had met my wife, my filtering game was like so on point. I was able to just say, okay, she's not talking about anything that I remotely care about paying attention to. Because I think the idea is you're really looking for somebody who's worth the time of you sending or responding to a message.
Yeah.
Like that's the hard part. It's like, is there anything you start looking at the picture like, oh, she looks good. I'm searching for a redeemable quality now. I gotta find something past this picture that makes me turn around and say, hmm, let me ask her a question about this. And I tell my wife all the time, oh, you had a whole profile. You ran down a full understanding of who you were. It was almost like you're like, listen, I'm so frustrated with trying to get to know people. Here's all my information. There you go. So by the time I read that, I was like, okay, she got a good job. She's educated.
That's the thing.
She likes football. Okay.
People do have like certain parameters, and I don't think it's a good or a bad thing. It's just like you know what you want. So I don't think that anybody should ever have to settle, because at the end of the day, we're all humans, so we're all fallible. So at least go for somebody that you think would truly make you happy. That's just my opinion, though.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And to Ashley's point about dating, so I always had this interesting thing about dating. I changed my whole dating practice when I realized the concept of women really only have to say yes, and then they get a free meal. And it's not the women only want a free meal, but you're gonna get a meal. So I always thought about, well, instead of me trying to impress them on this place, I'm just gonna go places I want to go. So no matter what, whether I have a horrible time or not, I went someplace where I had the food that I wanted and a story to tell, and that is an awesome experience. Luckily for me, my favorite restaurant in my early adult years was TGI Fridays. Just love that Jack Daniel sauce, which is now just the whiskey sauce. I don't know what's going on, but it tastes the same, so I'm good. But what what I realized is that one of the biggest issues for guys when we talk about dating, we talk about dating in the sense that I don't think we necessarily think about dating for purpose. And I always bring this up because I tell people I went to a Christian high school. They drill in you the idea you're dating to get married, you're dating, which I think is a horrible message to give a teenager. Because we don't know who we are, so we definitely don't know what we're looking for in marriage. We don't know any of that. And I guess the assumption is you're going to follow the rules of the Bible. And hopefully some people were. But I went to a private school that was the private school for the kids that were from the hood. So we had the hood 16 hours a day, and then school like 8. Those 8 hours was spent vacationing away from the hood and bringing the hood to this lovely, wonderful, safe environment. So it's just always interesting to me about the concept of dating for purpose, dating just to date, figure out who you are, figure out what you like. But what I want to address is, Ashley, you touched on dating people of other ethnicities. Like, did that happen more so here in Houston, or was that okay? Well, I was like, we ain't gonna get to Southern. Okay, cool.
So yeah, that happened mostly here in Houston. But you bring up, I guess, the point you were getting to before I interrupted with my the dating. I think that I don't know if it's America in general or like certain areas or Black people. I don't know. The idea of dating is kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of
casual now. It's like casual.
Yeah, it's sketchy because like you said, like for me, with what I expected versus what I eventually came to expect, I literally had to date those people and that showed me like an elevated dating experience, and then date myself, because I'm like, okay, Ashley, you can't be out here going to fix a plate at somebody's house unless he don't want to date you. He just want to bang. So I literally had to like get myself in the mind frame of like, am I yelling? I feel like I'm yelling. I literally put myself in the mind frame of like, okay, so what when I meet a person, it's like, okay, what is it that you want with this person? Do you want to go hang out, or do you want to go and like eat at like Del Frisco's and ramen and all these places? Like, what is it that you want? So I literally had to take a step back and like date myself and then start coming up with like these boundaries. And I know we see the posts all the time on social media about, is this acceptable, or do people like this anymore, or that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, elevate the people you're hanging around. um on the same token, I did have the friend that used to date for dinners, so I can totally kind of see where there's some people that are like, we going for coffee because ain't nobody finna use me. But at the end of the day, I want to go nowhere on a date that I can't take myself and buy my own stuff. So that's what.
Let, that's right.
I
Let me
will.
let
I will. I will.
one quick thing.
Back.
Hold on, Dan. Before you
Okay, go
respond, let
ahead.
me just let me. This is my guy, Chris Clark. He's in LA, so he gets to talk about LA dating, which is a whole nother experience.
I bet.
Um, I feel like he might have mastered it because we've known each other since we were 8. Well, I was 8. So trust me, he'll be great. But then go ahead. I'm gonna let you go with your statement.
I was just gonna piggyback on her statement on like there are certain women that just date just to get a free meal, so that is a real thing. Um, I will say it as a guy. And maybe it's just because I'm also like a giving person, maybe. So not everybody might do that, but like it does like start adding up every single date that you go on just to meet a person or a new, a new potential connection, because like it is expected still for the guy to pay for it, although we are in 2020 where I mean, if we're equal, like it's funny because like
Yo, fam, can I jump in real quick? I'm
go
sorry. Can
for
I
it, man.
jump in? Let me. I can't even hold my breath on that. Let me
Go
tell
for
y'all
it.
a quick story, man, because this is some real shit. I remember my cousin. This is my cousin who I love, right? I remember one time being at my father's house, and she's there, and she's getting ready to leave, and I'm getting ready, whatever, we're parting ways, and I'm like, so what you got going on tonight? She's like, I got this date in like an hour or two, and I'm like, nice, you like him? She's like, no. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, but it's a free meal. And I'm sitting there now. At the time, she was probably 20, and I assumed the dude was probably the same age. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this dude is probably working some job, making whatever, $10, $11 an hour. That's probably about 4 or 5 hours of him working his behind off to
Yep.
take this girl out that ain't even interested in him. Like, it's one thing if you got cats that are ballers and they got bread like that and it's nothing, but you got cats out there. It's really an investment of their hard-earned money trying to get a future with some love going on. So in that case, I was like, yo, that's kind of some bullshit. It's my cousin, but fuck that, it's some bullshit. I still love her, but it's some bullshit. So
Right.
all that to say, I think that people need to be considerate of other people's feelings. Now, I know that it doesn't go all the way across the board because you definitely got cases where, look, you don't owe anybody your affection. If somebody wants to, we've all went on a date with somebody that had us in a preliminary, like, I don't know if I like this person, but this person could be something, so let me see what it is. But she told me she didn't like dude. And so, like you had said, you brought it up, Danny. You had brought that up. Like, yeah, you got people out there literally just taxing for meals. I mean, this one girl I was trying to see one time, she was like, she was all like specifying the specific place she wanted to go, this new trendy restaurant. And I'm like, yo, I ain't the one. The
Yeah,
one that
that's
get
when you
played like a,
know. When they tell you exactly where they want to go, that's when you know you're like you're just here for the meal. But I will say that's a 20-80 rule for at least in Texas. Like I will say in Texas it's a 20-80. Like 20% of the time it's like that, like where it's just a girl trying to get like, a free meal. But the thing is it's still always expected for the guy to pay for the first, initial meetup, which my thing is like I'm okay with, but like if we're ever gonna get to like parity as male and females, then it shouldn't be expected one way or another, right? Because we're equal. But
So
that's just my personal thing.
let me jump in because one, I feel like we're being kind of hard on women, but I'm not, and I'm saying that because in the same way, if we're gonna say women are there, a lot of women are going out looking and getting the free meal. Like that's just to me, that's just kind of comes with it. Like that's why I decided I'm gonna just go to the restaurant I want to go to because I got to eat regardless. So if you here, you here. If you not, you not. But I'm gonna eat. So that's it. But we also have to look at the fact that women are thinking the guy is trying to close a deal on the first night. I feel like the same perspective of the free meal versus what guy is trying to accomplish his goal tonight is probably 50-50 balance.
Mhm.
You know, it's just a fair assessment. Now, the average part in the weight of it is you really shouldn't compare a meal
Yeah.
to intimacy. But hey, this is where we are. Like, you know,
Yeah, yep. As a guy, I'll tell you this. So, like how I said, it was 20% like the females that are, like just trying to get a free meal versus 80% like they're trying to like meet you. I would say, as a guy, I would agree that it's probably like flipped, where it's like 80-20, where a lot of guys do expect like, hey, I bought you a drink or I bought you this, and it's like that doesn't mean anything. Like anytime like anything just gets like awkward or anything, like that's just the time like, hey, this is no longer a thing. Cool, let's keep going. Like I'll go on my way, you're going your way. But I will say I will flip it. And from my experience of like my friends that are people that I know, not my friends, but people that I know, it's just like, it would be 80-20, where it's like something's expected kind of thing at the end of the night.
okay, I'm gonna let you in 1 second. I gotta clean something up because I feel like Danny's being nice. So it may be 20% that expect, but I think it shoots up to 50% of will accept. Like it's 50% of the guys that if a girl just decides that she wants to that first night, they may have had no intent, but they will turn around and be like, well, I'm at 50% of the guys are gonna be like, well, I didn't plan on it, but let me make this run to the corner store real quick.
Really?
Hopefully.
What I'll
Listen.
say is, look, there's no amount of food that you can buy them. The key to their heart is making them laugh. That's all I gotta say.
Well, no, I'm just saying
none of that stuff matters.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying anybody on this particular thing functions in that way because there are a lot more men out here than these three. But what I'm saying is that men, we have to be honest about the fact of, to get anywhere in the dating world, we have to be honest about who we are. And to that same point, there may be 20% that's going out to get meals. There might be out of that 20%, 5% that'd be like, well, he did buy me a meal, so hey, I might as well go and do something for him. It's just kind of where it is. But let me introduce. I'm gonna call you Go-Go.
I was gonna say, I feel like Go-Go wants to talk. Like she's been waiting.
Go.
Like go. And while you're oh wait, no, I'll wait after you talk. But then I need to go refill. Go.
No, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna get it focused. Go.
Damn, I had so
Don't
much
do
to
that.
say. My mic was muted, but
Don't do that, y'all. Okay. So I'm a little late to the conversation, but there are a few things that already stand out to me. The 80-20 rule. Who came up with that? That's number one.
We were just giving out percentages. We were just doing stereotypical percentages, just because, I mean, like, we got to come up with some sort of, like, one way or another. Like, I would say 20% of the women are the ones that are actually just there to get a free meal, while 80% are the ones that are just like, hey, we're trying to date, but yes, like, it's still expected for a guy to, pay for the initial meetup. That's all we were saying about the 80-20 rule.
Okay, so here's my take on this, right? I don't know, and I maybe Ashley can go ahead and either back me on it or disagree with me on it, but I don't waste my time. My time is valuable. So I'm not gonna say, and I'm in a spot in a place in my life where a free meal isn't nothing. Like, I can cook.
Mm-hmm.
So having said that, if I'm going to invest in my time, my effort, look cute, because being a girl is hard, y'all. Like, we're talking about 30 minutes to an hour worth of getting ready, putting on that persona to be engaging and to be vulnerable in front of somebody. It's not going to be just for a free meal. Mm-hmm. Let's just be very clear. And that comes with maturity. So now the big question begs to differ is like, what type of women are you actually interested in? Because obviously you're not going for the grown women who have their own, who are stepping out and very comfortable in their skin and very clear about communication lines. No women that I know that is actively about bettering themselves, pushing hard, getting through whatever. No one that I know is going to waste their time on a free meal. Like, that's college day stuff, to be really honest with you. That's like, oh, in college, I'm surviving on ramen. Let me go out with this guy for a free meal.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Gogo, I hear you, and you obviously exist in the world that we all want to be
Mhm.
in. You're a person of high integrity. I'm gonna just tell you like this: as a nigga in Whole Foods on Third and Fairfax, it ain't always like that. And
Mhm.
you know, you meeting people on a real quick high and by, okay, da da da. And the next thing you know, you talking to somebody and it's real light and casual, and you don't always have the chance to like really get that deep dive into what kind of integrity they have in terms of that. Like, that's what we want to get to. But you know, you have to sometimes you have to figure it out by that one date, or even by the discussion of going on a date will get you to that point. Like we were talking before you hopped on about situations where even just negotiating the potential of a date shows you dealing. Like I've like my man was saying, well, like I was saying, he was agreeing with me. I've had girls specify the exact new trendy restaurant they wanted me to take them to, and I saw the game. I'm like, she wants to go to that place to eat because then, you know, like we've experienced that. So when you made the point about what kind of women are you after, it's like I feel where you're coming from, but I'm saying also it's like, you know, it's like this. You could have a business partner, right?
Mhm.
Like I know Jerron could have some serious input on this. Not saying he's ever had a bad business partner, but he's a guy that's seasoned. I know Jerron. I don't know anybody else. But like the analogy would be of a business partner. A person could look great on paper, they seem to have the right kind of resume. You don't know if they're trustworthy. You don't know if they're going to do you dirty and take your input and skip out for somebody else and make the bread. So it's like the same thing. You don't really know what you getting necessarily. You don't always, because some people don't like to talk. Like we like to talk, right? Like you got to look at it like that. We some talking motherfuckers, so we obviously sitting here trying to talk. But some people, they're light. They want to text. Okay, well, let me know if you have time next week. And they don't really. You're not going to get that whole experience of what kind of individual they are. So I hope to only be with women that are like you said, ain't about that shit, and they really it's it. But sometimes you find yourself dealing with different types of people, trying to get lucky, so to speak. You know what
So, Chris, I'm going to strongly disagree with you on that because there are a few things that you.
I mean?
Sorry,
Okay,
Javon
go
should have
for it.
warned
Go
y'all
for it.
before I came
Go
on.
for it. Go for it.
There are a few points that you made that directly contradict what you're saying. So, for example, right, you said, okay, not a problem. I don't have the opportunity or the methodology to create this deep emotional connection with somebody and figure out what they're about. And to be honest with you, surface people are going to be surface, regardless of whether or not it's superficial or deep. So having said that, in your interactions, by your definition, you just said, I have had women specify the places that they want me to take them to. Automatically, you already know what that woman is about. So you either choose to continue forward or you can back away. And that's
That's what I said. That's what I said. Just so you
so
know, that's what I said. That's
yes.
what I
So
said.
that's one thing. That's
But
one
just
thing.
so you
But
know,
by
I already
that,
said that. Just so you know, I already said that. You didn't correct me on that. I already said that. Just so you know
yes.
that. But
No,
continue. Please continue.
I'm saying by that definition, right? You've already determined whether or not that person is worth integrity, has a deeper integrity, has a deeper emotion behind whatever they're looking for, versus if they're about the superficial. Like you've already determined that. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't take a conversation like what we're having for those things to make itself known, right? So let's say you get a woman, right? Let's say she doesn't give you any of the red flags. You get to a spot, you pick a spot, everything goes hunky dory. Let's say she is late. She doesn't communicate. She doesn't say, hey, I'm running 15 minutes late. I'm running 30 minutes late. She doesn't give you any time frame. She just kind of pops up. Is that woman deep integrity or not?
I don't think that question can be answered as simply as that. There's so many reasons that could be the cause of a person's time and their planning to be off. I never judge a person by their ability to be punctual. I deal,
No.
personally. So I don't look at integrity and punctuality as being intertwined.
So I'm not.
I will say that if a person doesn't call me and doesn't give me the heads up, I look at that a little funny. But
And that's what I'm saying, right? Everybody on this call is grown. Everybody on this call has made mistakes and overcome them. Everybody on this call knows that time is money and vice versa. There is no way, as a human being, I'm waiting for somebody in a place, whether it be food, whether it be my family, whether it be other, and they're running late and they don't call and let me know, or they don't text and let me know. It's all a matter of human courtesy. And if you lack that basic amount of human courtesy, I really don't want you in my life as a romantic partner. Let's just be honest.
Got you.
So let me throw this in, because what I find interesting is we're touching on something that we always talk around. And welcome, Zoe, to the conversation.
What up?
Is in a dating environment, you have a finite amount of time to decide what this interaction is really going to be. Like I said, I've known Chris since we were kids. Chris is not afraid to. He's coming. If you're in the grocery store and he wants to talk to you, he's going to come up and talk to you in the grocery store. So sometimes I think we've been talking about online dating here. When Chris talks about this, I know him well enough to know that he's saying, I'm making these decisions in this moment right now. It's get a phone number. Here's the process. Get a phone number, get the next interaction. You get the next interaction, you have this conversation, and the conversation is, yeah, so when we go out, we should go here. I can't speak for Chris. I will speak for, I've disqualified people for less. Like, I'm just be real with you. Like, I got to a point where I'm like, look, to your point, it doesn't take a lot for me to figure out we're not going to work.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something. And just to throw this in, it'll be a person that won't pick up the phone when you call, but then they want to text you and they want to tell you where they want you to take them to dinner. Like, it's things like that. So I peep that game. So it's not just even as I like to talk. When you talk to somebody, you're going to figure out what it is. But just to add that, I want to throw
that's extra. The one thing that I tell everybody is that I think women know within 30 seconds of whatever interaction they have with you, what they feel your potential is going to be. Now, will you meet it? I don't know. Will you get a chance to take her out to that free meal? Who knows? But how you introduce yourself in that 30 seconds, because what we were talking about earlier is women think about safety. Like, as a guy, I've never thought about, well, am I going to be safe? Well, I take that back. Growing up in LA, I did think about, where does this girl live? Is it going to be safe to go over there? That's a whole nother conversation. But in terms of my safety with her as an individual, I didn't really have to date. I was at TSU, and then I was, well, whatever. That's so anyway,
but you know what though? Here's another thing, just to add in that with the safety, because we all naturally speak from what we know, and there's certain generalities that are like, for example, when Danny was going into his whole 80-20%, I was sitting back like, to me, even worrying about the percentage isn't really going to benefit anybody.
No.
It's like, so it's just like, it's fun because I like statistics. Statistics are cool, but you're dealing on a case-by-case basis. You don't know if this person is one of the 80 or the 20. It's just a person. You don't know what your particular life is going to bring you. But I will say this, though. When you said safety, like, yeah, that's definitely arguably a majority. But my brother, my sister, there's some motherfucking monsters out here, some females that are just want to have fun, and they're not scared of shit. They want to know where it's at. They want you to take them there. They want you to perform in a constant service of exhilaration. Write that one down. Constant service of exhilaration. So if you're not exhilarating them, and
that goes.
Hold. Give me 1 second. Let me say this. The thing about it is, you just may not be the right person for that girl. Like, that's the thing that I think we have to accept is, if you meet a girl that is, in your terms, a monster, maybe you just not, it's not there. Absolutely. So you make a change.
Absolutely.
And you switch over. I think that
absolutely
what I want to touch on here, because I want to ask Ashley a question here, because I want to go back to dating just from a female perspective for a second. Like, how do you qualify the time worthiness of the guy?
So for me, we gotta talk or something and get to that level where it's like, yeah, I can sacrifice this block of time to go out with you somewhere. Because we have the people who just want to meet you and just want to talk and waste time, or just want to meet you and go out just for the sake of going out. And then you feel like I owe you something or another because of that little block of time. So yeah, it's kind of like a pre-screening. Like, we're going to make it through a few text conversations, a few phone conversations, and then we'll go somewhere that's date worthy. I'm 30, about to be 35. I don't want to go to Dave and Buster's. I don't want to go to I mean, like, not as a first date.
You don't want to go to Chuck E. Cheese? What? Chuck E. Cheese is
We can't
amazing.
play games on the first date.
No, I like food. I like
fun on the first date. They got
Listen, I'm gonna just break in right now and say, if you're not taking a girl out to dinner on the first date,
I like food.
what are you really doing?
I like,
you need to sit down and have a conversation. You got to have some face-to-face interaction.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm gonna just be real. It could be McDonald's, it could be coffee. I have a friend that is a serial dater. He will take you out for coffee in a minute. He's like, you got to get this. You get this 15 minutes of coffee, and then
we got some nice coffee shops in Houston.
But the thing is too, though, is like when you ask a lot of the girls nowadays, like, hey, where do you want to meet? It's like for happy hour. It's not really like for dinner, because again, it takes me back to like my whole, like, it's like a pre-interview, like where before they have to sit there awkwardly and like talk to you for an hour because, you know, you bought them dinner or whatever. A lot of girls, not all of them, but a lot of girls, they just like want to do that pre-meet. And then after that, then you can like keep going, and then you go to dinner and do.
And another thing is a lot of ladies.
I don't pre-meet in my 30s. I go to places with like nice food. I'm one of those brunch women. I go to places. I want to go somewhere with nice food. I want to go somewhere, get entrees and get appetizers and pack me a little box to go. And if that's not the kind of date you want to go on, then I'm not the person you should be dating, because yeah, happy hour is expensive. I don't really mess with happy hours. I'm not the most social person. I'm like socially awkward. So going to happy hours and seeing like a bar full of people just sitting around drinking drinks because they're half price, I don't have anything to talk to you about, because all I want to do is get out of there. So I guess that comes into play as well. I want to sit down. I don't want to have like a whole bunch of stuff going on. I want to talk to the person, but then again, that's that dating with purpose bit. I'm not dating you because I need somebody to go eat with, because I can go sit by myself at a restaurant and pay for my own food. I can, if you don't want me to tell you what food I like to eat or where I want to go to, then that's fine. I can go by myself.
I just want to say that, first of all, as guys,
Wait.
take a girl to happy hour.
Let me ask her a question. This question before you.
I just want to say this. When you take the girl out to happy hour, just tell her to get well drinks. Be like, you get all the well drinks you want. That'll help you with the expense. They run about $4. You know.
Okay.
Now, what's your question, Chris?
But money thing aside, I want to say something. What you said, Ashley. I want to ask you a question, because you said it was very specific. What you said. You said if a guy doesn't, correct me if this is, I think it's what you said. You said if a guy doesn't want to go to where I want to go, then something else. I forget how you ended it. Do you remember what you said just exactly a second ago?
I know what I said. So there's a social media argument on what's acceptable as a date. For me, I know when I say that if he doesn't want to go here or to like the certain places that I want to go, then we're at different stages of dating.
Okay. So basically, are you saying that most of the time, if a guy asks you on a date, you specify where you would like to go?
No, I don't have to. The guys that take me out on, the guys that ask me to go on dates, I've gotten to the point where the people that I meet are at the same level that I'm on. Not saying somebody's below me or above me, but the guys that meet me and ask me to go out, we already on the same page, because I guess I seem serious and they know like I'm not.
So you're saying that they take you to places that you like to go to. They suggest.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Because the wording of that saying if they don't take me to where I want to go, I thought that meant like you had a request.
Oh no, that was what you heard.
Right. Which is what we had spoken on earlier. And I was going to say that to Danny, because what I was waiting to say earlier was, Danny, when you said if you ask a girl where we should meet, oftentimes, you know, since we cover a wide variety of topics, oftentimes I've been told by at least in my lifetime 10
because it's a
girls
public
that they, hold,
place.
let me just finish. I said I've been told at least 10 times by girls that they don't like when guys ask them where to go. They want the guy to say, "We going here. Are you cool with that?" You know what I mean? And it sounded like
And
that's what
I
Ashley
was gonna say that's what I was gonna say. Most girls on the first date, if you're taking them out to eat, they want to see if you have good taste. They don't want to tell you where they want to go. They want to see where you're gonna take them.
And that's why I wanted to be
And
sure with you, Ashley, if that's what you were saying or not.
So I like to
But
throw in something here. It's your ability to probe. Like it's your ability to probe in your conversations, so you don't have to ask. You get a feel for the person, and you're like, okay, I know this person goes. Sometimes you might be looking at how a person. Like, I'm gonna just be completely superficial. You can look at how a person dresses and how they carry themselves and say, you know what, I know a cool place that might fit the vibe I'm getting
yeah,
from her. And sometimes that's a link in itself. I know the trick that I used with my wife that didn't work out because her brother played football for TSU was I asked her asked her to go to get ice cream. I was like, dudes ain't out here asking girls to go get ice cream. I'm gonna ask for ice cream, and we still haven't went and gotten ice cream. I've gone by myself and picked it up for her,
And you're
but we
married
haven't gone
already.
together.
Ice cream.
Yeah,
can I
tell
address
you,
one of the
ice
comments
cream is the key.
though?
Go
I
ahead, Daddy.
want to address one of the comments. Brisha Coffee, the comment: if y'all are scared to risk money on a nice date, then I don't think you're ready to date. To be dating, I would actually push back on that because it's not even about the money. Because the thing is, like, every time a guy, like, again, the fact that it's expected for the guy to pay, but we're also trying to be at parity. It's like it's not about the money because, like, we're gonna spend it regardless. It's more like I'd rather go on a date with somebody that wants to be there and hang out with me, or at least get to know me to see if there's a connection, than just like, like that again. And it was a anecdotal, like 80-20 rule or 20-80 rule. There nobody, I don't know the statistics. I'm just saying, but
Right.
I would rather just, like, like have, like, go on dates that mean something than just waste my money. It's not about spending the money. It's like I would just rather spend it where I guess it's more fruitful, I guess is the word. Maybe. I don't know.
Let me
Yeah,
say this.
and there's no sugar.
Because that's
Or
what
at least there's like a mutual, like, everybody wants to, like, or both parties want to at least get to know each other. That's
Let
what
me
I would say.
let me jump in for something here, because Danny, you kind of keep hitting the point, and I like to just hit things because I'm drinking, so I can get in the speaker about it real. So
Oh, you're the
you,
only one. I'm drinking too.
yeah, but you keep hitting this point of spending money and the quality of spending the money. And here's what I'm gonna tell you: in that initial process of dating across the board, men, women, I don't really care what anybody says. Guys have always, they should be going outside expecting to pay. Like, I can tell you this. I tell my wife all the time, when I was the most surprised was our second date. She was like, I got it. It took me everything in my soul to be like, wait, did she say she got it? And then I had to let myself let her get it, which felt really funny. And then I was like, you feel stupid right now. Let her get it. That's money you get to keep in your pocket. I know I'm prepared to pay, but if she get it, I love going out with her now because I don't know when she gonna get it. I don't know, but I know she can. And my requirement was I want to date a person who can get it. If they like, they can pull out their card and get it. That
And
was
let me jump on that what you're saying because that's a great point, my brother. And let's look at the reality. Y'all are married now. Now let me break that down. What happened is she made a decision because she's a genius. She wanted to show you that she gives a fuck about you. So she made a step that a lot of people, probably friends of hers, would be the girl. I never pay for no nigga dinner. She said, "I'm gonna pay for this brother's dinner because he's dope, and I'm about this sis."
well.
Do you
Let me
know
say
how
this:
many? But
I can't help it
okay,
if y'all not getting that out of women. I mean, I'm an awesome
well,
guy.
no. Oh, nice,
I
nice.
am.
Hey,
I mean, nobody's gonna
hey,
nobody's
ain't
gonna
no,
argue with that.
eh,
Nobody's gonna argue with that.
that was a great comic. Really, I know you couldn't resist that. You just threw that in the. That was like throwing a rock in the middle of a pool. That just splashed. But
Yep.
what I was saying though is this: there is no shortage of women right now who have a wonderful story about how their husband, who is now super baller status, was broke than a motherfucker when they got together, and she had faith in him. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, my mother is one, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm not speaking just on some old, like, sometimes you have to see the big picture. So Like the comment that somebody left talking about, if a guy don't have money, I don't think he should be dating. It's like, but tomorrow you never know what could blow in the wind. So if they don't date tomorrow today, and tomorrow the dude's got money, what if they didn't meet today? You don't know what the future is going to bring. And if you look at a person's financial situation as being this telling thing of everything about them that you need to know moving forward, you're gonna lose, and there's gonna be a lot of empty beds.
I don't think necessarily you're gonna lose because you coming in with that type of standard. Just because you heard if he don't got no money, he ain't ready to date. But for one, that's not me, so we share the same ideology. What she's saying is the same thing that I say when I say the same thing. Where you are right now, yeah, good. Congratulations if you come into $1 million tomorrow, but you're not ready to date Ashley Curry. You might be ready to date that girl that hasn't dated herself and figured out what she wants and that wants to pour energy in because I don't have any to pour into you. That might be the person you need to be dating. But for me, I don't have the energy to pour into somebody who can't afford to date or somebody who because at this point I'm looking for the person that I'm going to start a life with. If you can't afford to date or if you feel like we got to take a tally mark of how much I owe you because you paid last time and I'm gonna pay I should pay next time, then you're not the person I should be dating. The person I should
Well, I wish you the best. I wish you the best, and I hope it all works out. That's all I'm
On
gonna
that
say to
note,
that.
son.
The only thing I will say is like
Go ahead.
I'm never
Let me
talking
let
about like a tally
hold on,
mark.
Danny. Hold on, Danny. Let me throw something in here because I think a large part of what's being missed here is something that I learned a long time ago in dating, at least from my perspective. When women get to a certain age, their focus on purpose of dating changes. When they're younger, they are willing to date because men don't date. Don't men do not date for potential. We don't even know what that looks like in a woman. But women will see potential in a guy
Not
and
true.
get. No, I'm just being
yeah,
honest
yeah.
with you. As a whole,
I
I
will disagree with you. Married at
I was about to say
22.
because I'm
I got
picky.
married at 22 because when I was dating, I was looking like when I was dating, my whole purpose was to find somebody that I think could be like my wife and could give me a future or like we could have a future together. So I'm only going to disagree with you on that because that's the only
but
reason I
that's not the
actually seriously
but
date.
I'm saying that's not the potential I'm talking about. I'm saying that a woman will look at a guy. He could be in whatever position he is and say, you know what? I think he's talented. I think he's smart. He just needs a little bit of help to figure out which direction he goes. I don't know a guy that sits there and has looked at a woman and says, you know what? She don't really have all her stuff together, but I could help. Well, other than let me finish.
Absolutely. I mean, Prince.
Yeah.
Prince has a song called "Baby I'm a Star," and the song is about Prince, who's known to have a lot of money. When Prince didn't have no money, he was telling the girl, "Baby, I'm somebody. I ain't got my money, but just
But
have faith in a
that's
nigga."
my point. Women will date for potential if they believe in you. But at a certain
But
point, they're like, I'm tired of dating dudes that's trying to figure it out.
they
I
want
need
somebody
somebody.
that already got it.
I went through my life and I built this life for myself, so I'm looking for equal. When I met my wife, I knew that when I find a person that I felt was I can build something with, we had to be somewhat on an equal level. Because also, I didn't want to just be a guy that she looked at and be like, he has a lot of potential. When I met my wife, I told her, here's the craziest thing you're going to hear about me. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm trying to put together a TV station. I know it sounds insane. Don't worry about it. It has nothing to do with the fact that
Bro,
I function normally.
the internet has like completely disrupted all corporate America. Like anybody can get famous at any time. So don't say like, "Oh, I know it's not going to happen because I don't have my own TV
No. Oh
station."
no, no,
You
no.
can you can be the
No.
next
Believe me,
any
it
station.
wasn't that. It was the fact of like I'm approaching this person and I'm saying like, hey, don't look at me for potential. Judge me by where I'm at because the stuff that I talk about and the stuff that I've done is going to sound insane. It is not things that people normally do because I understood where my life was. But what I'm saying to Ashley's point is, Ashley, you said yourself, you said at 35, I would be mad at you if you was like, I'm looking for somebody and I met this guy and he's got a lot of potential. I'd be like, potential to do what? Like,
Right.
there's a point where if you've gotten to a certain place, you're thinking about different things. You might be thinking about, I want,
Javon, don't do that.
but it's the
Don't
truth.
do
But I'm
that.
telling you, it's the
Don't
truth.
do that.
I'm not putting anybody else.
Come
What I'm
on,
saying
G.
for,
Come on,
but,
Javon. Don't
but
come
this is
on,
the,
bro.
but Chris,
I don't
this,
know you too long, my
but this
nigga,
is,
to let you do it like
but this
that,
is the
man.
thing. This is the truth. Women women at certain ages and places in life will date for potential. They're okay with potential. They'll believe in a person and they'll go. And there's also a point where they hit a certain age because I've dated at all these different points. That about 28 is when women start deciding, you know what, I want to settle down. It starts hitting them there. Maybe not. In fact, they don't even get to settle down first.
Hey
They get
man,
to
You're
maybe
right.
I need
You're
to have
right. You're
kids.
right. No, you're not lying.
I'm gonna go real hard since the motherfuckers is gonna go hard. I'm gonna go hard. Let's go hard. Y'all all seen Malcolm X, right? Y'all all seen Malcolm X? Y'all
Yeah,
all seen the movie Malcolm X?
Yeah.
yeah.
Who remembers the
Been a
part
minute.
who remembers the part when Malcolm runs into his man, Spike Lee's character, and he says, "Oh, what's up with the old gang?" And it fast forwards to baby girl that was running with Malcolm, and she's bringing the food tray. You know, she married some old rich ofe, and she's bringing the food tray to the rich dude sitting there, not even looking at it, reading the newspaper. Like, you make the wrong decision, put too much energy on security, and you're gonna be sitting in that situation. So, she was rolling with Malcolm. Now we don't get into those specifics of their story. I'm just saying, like, you can't overlook what potential can be. Now, granted, to go,
That's a weird narrative.
but no. That's why I said I went hard because here's my thing. My thing is I'm only gonna debate the absolute statements. Like, of course, I take on face value any friend of yours has discernment ability. So, like what Ashley was saying, I think is a general statement that she means. But I think, in truth be told, if she met a brother who wasn't quite where she wanted him to be financially, but she saw he was working towards something and had a lot going on, she would see that. But
But he has to be
to make
somewhere.
us, but I know. But let me just finish. But to make
But it's still a part of
but to
potential.
make a statement, just saying, because I don't, I always debate absolute statements. To say I'm not rocking with somebody if they don't have this amount of money, I feel it's dangerous, and you can miss out on something.
But nobody said that.
For that.
Like, like when
Well,
you say potential, what
I
I'm
like
saying is,
Christian's comments, by the way.
I
Krista, keep commenting because I like your comments. They're pretty cool.
I paraphrased what she said.
but here, let me correct something real quick because I think this is where you're arguing potential. But what we're saying is, if you have a job and you're like he could be the manager or he could be the CEO, that's potential. So yes, you're gonna date somebody with potential, but it's about being quote unquote equally yoked. Like at a
Okay,
certain
but
point,
what
you
if a
know where
guy
your
works
life is.
freelance? But what if a guy works freelance and doesn't have a quote unquote job? I mean, there's too many
Freelance
variables, bro.
But here's the thing: if you work freelance, you're building your own business.
There's
You may be functioning
There you
at a
go.
level, but that's what I'm saying. It's about levels. So if you want to argue the point of overall potential, sure, I get it. But the thing about it is, Ashley, I'm using you for the example because you're just here and we have to go here. But if Ashley works a job and she makes X amount of dollars, she's used to treating herself a certain way. She's used to
right.
doing a certain thing. So she's not going to date the guy who doesn't have a car, who doesn't have somewhere to, that doesn't have a purpose, that's doing something that
Flip
can,
patties and
one, that join
McDonald's.
her in. Like, that's the thing that I think that with guys, some guys have figured it out. We used to call it having game. Some guys can talk their way into a situation and they'll find a woman that will see their potential, be like, no, he really could do it. And he may have the best of intentions, but I like to use fences. That was a great play. I went and saw that with my friend Delisa. But that's a good example of like potential. Like you could be this, you could have been that, and life is what it is. But at a certain point, when it comes to what I've seen with women, is it's really around 28. They start changing what they're looking for. Maybe they go through and I'll say confused because we all go through a confused stage, even as guys.
I
Where it's
wouldn't say
like
confused. I would say they
I look for a
realize
number.
that, like, because the thing is, like, biologically, that's when they realize that, like,
Right.
their time is fucking
Yeah,
coming, right? Like,
statistically.
because,
Okay,
like,
let me
and
stop.
I'm not saying that you can't get
bro.
pregnant.
You wildin'.
I'm not saying you
Hold on,
can't
hold
get
on.
pregnant
Danny,
later
Danny,
on.
stop now.
Hold it for a second.
Danny,
That's
stop
when
now.
they
Stop
start
now,
Hold on,
Danny.
hold on.
thinking
Hold on
that.
one
Stop
second.
now.
We have two
Stop
women.
now,
We have
Danny.
two.
Stop.
Hold on. We have two women here, and we have two women who Ugo may be near
I know
28.
that, but we're
But let me
saying,
say
like,
this.
what
But
changes at
but
28
hold
is
on,
that they're
Danny. One
like
second.
they want to start
Hold
thinking
on,
about
Danny.
kids.
Danny, give me 1 second. We have two
I
women
want kids.
who can speak to being 28 or near 28 or wherever you are in your age.
31.
Oh, okay. So
Danny,
there's
you wild for
women.
that, bro. You wild for that.
There's two women who can say that they made a change. Was there a point where you guys dated and you looked at the potential of the person as being part of, like, you know what, he's not there, but I'm gonna give it a shot?
So I'm gonna take this one because I've been.
Go ahead, because Ashley's getting beat up, and I'm tired of it.
There are a few. There's some serious misconceptions on this call. I don't know where y'all getting them from.
Well, that's why we're having this
So-
discussion. That's why we want to have this discussion.
Fair enough. So let me set things straight. Number one, Jerron, stop doing that.
Right? Why is he like putting you as center of attention?
I don't know.
You
So
need to
number
go ahead
one,
and get it out. Go ahead.
I don't understand why men think that if a woman is coming on to date, and actually you can back me up on this, I never go anywhere where I can't pay for my own meal.
Agreed.
It's not going to happen. So if you decide that you want to take on the bill, great. If you decide that you want to split it, great. But understand that communication is key. Don't let me finish the entire meal and then say, oh, yeah, we're splitting it, right? Or, yeah, you got this, right? Don't do that. That's immature to the highest. It's woman 101. You don't go anywhere. You don't do anything that you cannot afford to take care of on your own. I personally do not need a man. It is nice to have one. It is nice to show my appreciation and say, thank you for doing this for me. But understand that I don't need you to do it for me. I can change a light bulb. I can change my damn tire. I can change my oil if I need to. I don't need a man. That's number one. Number two, dating for potential. There is a time frame for everything, right? And I keep saying, you guys are talking, I don't know, it's like the mindset is stuck in college. You guys are going from college mindset women to women that have now actualized themselves, that are now vetted and rooted in their life. They know what they want. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're putting that expectation on me. They're just saying, here, this is what I'm about. Either you meet me or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay. Maybe I'm not the woman for you. If you do, great. Let's see where this conversation goes. End of story. It's not about what he has versus what he doesn't have. And I want to be very clear. Potential, somebody said that potential is a setup. Yes, it is an absolute setup because potential is not reality. Let's just be clear. Potential is not reality. Anybody on this call could be the next Bill Gates.
Thank you.
But you're not Bill Gates right now.
Right.
Who the fuck wants to be Bill Gates? Fuck that nigga. He can't dress. But I get your point. I couldn't resist.
So, like,
Mute him.
and I feel like women at any point in time, and it could be like 60, it could be at any phase in life, you have connected with somebody. I'm not going to say whether they're a man or woman. You've connected with somebody where you've invested a significant amount of time, effort, vulnerability in, and they have let you down. And that's honestly for guys too. If you think about it, you've done the same. Mm-hmm. You've invested some form of yourself into another individual, no matter what gender they are, and they've let you down. And then at the end of the day, you've made the decision, you know what? This was a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to decide not to invest that much energy into somebody else until they've reached a certain level of whether it be maturity, whether it be connection, whether it be anything. Like Jerron, I ride for you. I don't know anybody else on this call except for Danny, kind of, but I ride for you. So if we
work together, right?
Go, I need you to invest $5,000 in me. I would do it because I trust you, and you've already, to that point in time, you've met me at my maturity level. I can see that you're mature, and I can see that if there's something that goes wrong or something happens, or if my money doesn't institute a return right away, I understand that you will make sure I'm okay because that is the type of business person you are, period. So having said that, like, I need guys to understand that women aren't just thinking with their emotions. They're not just thinking with whatever's between their legs. Yes, I said it. And they're not just thinking based off of what you can offer me. And if you find a woman, and I know we've already had this discussion, but it goes back to it. If you find a woman who at the source is looking for what you can give to her and what you can offer her and not being able to match that level, that's a problem.
It's not a problem. It's like it's what you want.
I couldn't agree more.
You should like go for what you want. It's not a problem. It's what your standards are, and you should do it. Like, it's not a problem.
You gotta make sure your wants match where you are. Period.
And you know what, Gogo? I couldn't agree with what you said. I couldn't agree with what you said more, Gogo. Except one thing I just want to point out is also, like, for example, you came in a little late after me. when I first came in, the topic was girls that are using dudes for meals.
That wasn't
So
really
me
the topic, but I'm with
personally,
you.
That's
say it
how we
again.
kind of started
Okay, I
on
mean,
that.
okay, it wasn't the topic. It was what was being talked about. Let's okay.
I'm with
Point I'm
you.
saying is that so I responded as being a brother who's been victimized in that regard, and I know people that have been victimized, and I've had a cousin of mine, a female, admit that she did that to motherfuckers. So it ain't no shit like, just because your crew doesn't do it like that, it's getting done like that. So it's like we all have our own positions we want to make and things we want to represent, but they're things that are happening. You
We
know what I
have our
mean?
own
They're things that are
experiences.
happening.
So
So
So I
I
was just representing that.
I
Go
was
ahead,
Just saying
Ashley.
that.
was the way we got on this topic was because I had a friend that was like that. But I kind of want to pose a question if you don't mind, Brianna. Where are you meeting these people that are dating for dinners? Because my friend that was like that, she was a certain kind of way, and she
Happy
met
hours.
people the way she met them. And I noticed that the women that kind of have that frame of mind, y'all, is it who you going after?
So Ashley, I'm actually
Whole
going to back off of
Foods.
that
Whole
conversation
Foods.
because
Whole Foods.
hold on.
I
'Cause
will say
You better go to
I
Ralph's
gave
or
the
Kroger.
20-80 rule because I personally haven't like maybe I'm at one, but like that's why I said 20-80 and I just gave it an anecdotal number. So like I know it happens. I don't know how often it happens.
So Danny, I'm gonna
All
get
of
you
them
on
look
this.
like the same kind of person. My friend, that all of them, they look like those video vixens, Instagram models. Who y'all meeting? Because it seems to be like that type of woman that's your type is the type of woman that's dating for dinners.
Well,
That was actually our first topic is how social media has made the
Right.
standard like appear
Yeah.
where like people can never attain that like the fact that you can see like my like the like my crows whatever that you call this and the bags under my eyes or whatever like that's real but in social media that should be gone and that's the problem is like people have these unattainable like
Expectation
Look,
and
let
goals.
expectations yes.
let me say this.
But then you're making your
Well,
dating decisions off of those type of people. I'm sorry.
yeah, exactly. That's my point. So Danny, you made a point. I'm gonna recall every. Sorry, guys. I take notes. It's a thing.
You
I'm
can
gonna say this. So
call
I'm
me out anytime you want, and I'm okay with it.
you said that you're looking on the first date, you're looking to see if there's a connection during the conversation. My question to you, literally, I wrote it down. I was like, wait, you ain't have a connection before the date? So, like, and this is where I go, and this is how I am. I'm not going to waste my time with you if I do not feel something for you. I don't know how you validate or how you let me go corporate on you guys. How you qualify individuals for
first
your
of all, this is
time.
happy hour. Ain't no corporate work. This is a happy
What
hour.
I will
But you
say
know what?
is that
Oh, wait,
if
hold,
you
hold,
don't
hold,
start,
hold, hold on. I
go
got a
ahead.
quick one. I got a quick one for you. But here's another one before you go. That's wonderful, and I'm with you 100%. But then there's this factor. The girl says, "What are you doing? You free later?" You're gonna say, "No, I'm gonna sit here and vet.
Yes,
I'm gonna vet you for
thank
another
you.
week. I'm gonna vet
No,
you for
you
another
can
week."
say, I'm fine.
And
Let's
that's what I was
go
gonna
for,
say.
here's my thing. You guys got to understand. If a guy hits me up and says, hey, go, you free later? Yeah, I'm free. What's up? What would you like to do? And he's like,
Hey, go. You free later because it's only 9.
wow.
Oh, you said you were. I'm just kidding. I'm totally just kidding.
Nah, see
I'm a
and that's
joker.
another thing. Oh, that's a great point, Danny. If anybody hits me up at this time talking about you free later, what's going
No,
on?
I know.
Because
There's
later,
nothing good that's gonna happen from anybody that hits you up this late at night. They would have hit you up
exactly.
at like
Thank you.
5 p.m.
I'm glad that you
earlier.
understand
I
that.
know. I was just kidding. It was a
So,
joke. The thing about me is I'm very sarcastic and I joke a lot, so
no, I'm
All right,
people will
sarcastic.
notice that.
hold up. I got a question. I got a question here that I want to pose to you guys. I know you guys are in the middle of a debate, but I feel like we starting to attack people's dating processes. And let's be real,
Mm-mm.
it's hard out here on these dates. So
Sorry.
one of the questions that popped up here was from Jason. Being single, do you feel pressured to date?
No,
Yeah, I
no.
know. You shouldn't even answer first. I already know you. I don't feel nothing. I'm out
Dude,
here.
I will not go out with
I mean,
somebody if I don't
I've
want
been
to go
pressured
out.
to date, so
You been pressured?
yeah,
Talk about it,
you
cause
know.
you ain't said much. So let's hear
I
it.
mean, my situation is, I was previously engaged,
Mm.
and then we separated, and she immediately was in another relationship like a week later. So for the past about 6 years, I've been single, but lately I've been dating. But my kids were pressuring, family was pressuring. My kids were like, you should be happy like mom, you should be, this and that. So I've been pressured today because everybody around me is like, you so focused on work and the kids, you need to do something for yourself and be with somebody, should spend time. So like going out, I go out and meet people. And like you say, I was gonna say, you say you should already have a connection with people when you ask them out on a date. You might have that appeal, like you see how they look or whatever, they look like somebody you would like, and it hits you right there with that connection. But then when you go out on the first date, that's when you actually have time to talk, sit down, get to know them, and see if y'all have a connection there, like liking the same foods, liking the same movies, TV shows, activities and stuff. Like then that's when you can be like, okay, we're gonna continue with this, or we just gonna shut this down right here after the first date.
Let me say something, because I think honestly this is how I found a wife, and this is what I would tell anybody. I was 35, 4, somewhere in 30, 30 something when I met my wife. One of the things that I think happens that you have to, I can't speak for women, so I would hopefully you guys chime in here. As guys, everybody that you introduce yourself to, everybody that you approach, is not your wife. They may not even have remotely the potential to be your wife.
Right.
The thing you have to get to understand is, what does my wife look like? And so to your point, when you brought up what you're saying, being pressured to date, there's a certain point where the first question that came to me is, you were engaged to a person and you guys split up. Then you gave me 6 years later, now you're starting to date. The real question comes in, and not that this is where we go into it, but have you healed from whatever that was? Because for me to be able to find my wife, the first thing I had to say was, I'm going in with no baggage. Now, with that being the case, between finding her and deciding that there was no baggage, I had to date enough people to be like, I don't really know what it is I want, so I'm just going to enjoy life, and whatever happens. And that's a very cavalier approach to take towards dating. But as a guy, I have that freedom. Women get judged to have that same kind of view, and that's a whole nother thing. But what I always say is this: you have to figure out what you don't want and what you don't like, and that's investing. The same way you invest in time. So it's not about how much money you spend. It's not about where you spend it, because you might find the girl that works for you that you can go to McDonald's. She'd be like, you know what? I love nuggets. Everybody's always trying to take me to Shayla La La, and I just want some nuggets. I just want a 6-piece. That's it. I want a burger. I want a cheeseburger with some pickles and call it a day. I just think that where we sometimes miss each other is taking the time to sit there and say, you know what? I want to find a person. Not so much that I'm looking for my wife, but I just want to find a person that I click with so I can get comfortable with the idea of having a romantic relationship. Because sex is not romance. Intimacy is a whole different thing. And being honest with yourself about what you're really looking for in your dating experience is probably the most important thing you can figure out. Because I did a happy hour 3 weeks ago, and the women basically said, I'd rather for a guy just come up to me and say, look, I'm just trying to get it. And I was like, I don't know where that works, because I don't know where that works, but okay. But that may be that they're not, because I believe women look at me and be like, I like him. He probably not marriage material, but I'm good with like a week of getting to know him. And it's not about age, because I know women that are 40 that feel that way, women in their late 30s. It's about where you are and understanding where you are. Like, I agree with Ashley. At this point, if you're looking at, I want to find a husband, then you're probably going to have a stricter criteria that these men have to be in. Same thing with Ugo. But if you know, like, look, I'm good. I'm always in relationships. When I met my wife, I said, here's the thing. I'm not going to be quick to jump in a relationship, because I don't have short-term relationships. I don't know how to break up in 3 months, 6 months. I haven't had a relationship that hasn't been multiple years, and I'm not really ready to invest multiple years in somebody that I don't think can be my wife. So the day that I asked her, like, can we be official? Because I asked like it was high school. And I knew at that point, this is more than likely the person I'm going to marry if I'm willing to make this statement now. And that's it. And I think it's basically knowing myself. Now. But I was like, it takes time getting to know who you are. And I think healing from your past relationships, even for the whole potential thing that we talked about, there's a point of healing where you say, I'm not looking for triggers, because as Chris brought up, we triggered something. We triggered something with the dinner. This is like the free dinners. With Danny, we triggered something. We all have these triggers that hit us, and it brings this emotion. So
Speak on
understanding.
it, guys.
you don't even want to talk about my triggers, man.
No,
Like,
I'm not. I really
there's
don't.
like a million.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. So it takes time for you to date because you naturally want to date, but you got to realize that you're going to hit a lot of buttons. It's going to be a lot of things that go wrong, but the key is to learn how to move to the next person without
But
taking the last person with you.
yes, but
Right.
what I will say is like for me as a person, and that's where like okay, I don't know where anecdotal goes, but for me, when I date, it's to date for the future. It's not like
Right.
hey, let like this is fun or whatever. Like I'm 31. I want kids. Like if I'm being serious, like
You could have
I
kids
want
up to
kids.
80.
Like no, I know, I get that, but I also want
My
kids
uncle waits till
with
40 to have
somebody
his last
my
two.
own age as well, you know. So like,
So, can I, Ashley and Gogo? I want to get into this, but I feel like Danny makes me feel like I want to have a slight intervention. So I want to ask a question. Where are you meeting these women? Because if you know that you're dating to find your wife, there are places that you can go. There are places you can't. Because when I met my wife, I wasn't looking for a wife. I was not looking for anything. I was just like,
what
I'm up.
what
What's going
what
on?
I'll say is what I brought up was the exception, not the like the norm. But because this is a conversation, we need to talk about like the outliers, right? So this is like what changes things and what makes things different or what makes dating hard in today's world. So I'm not saying that that's every girl that I meet.
Right.
What I'm saying is like that's
Oh,
just
I
like
got.
those are the ones that like kind of like make me take a step
So,
back and be like, hey, let me
Like,
hold
Hey,
close
on.
I
my
got a
heart
bill.
off a little.
I got a bill for that. I got a bill for that. That's a really good point because that ties into something else. Is this? It's like we could all sit here and just talk about how we want it, how we do it, what it is, and our perspective. Thank you so much. We could all do that, but we're gonna learn more if we acknowledge the things that seem unlike for a woman who's got her stuff together and would never dream of using a man to buy her meal. She could benefit from learning that there are girls like that doing that. So when she talks to a dude who might have been through that and might be triggered by that subject, she might
Then she can
understand.
see
She might
why
understand
he's
exactly,
a little bit more triggered.
and vice versa. Like we've
So
girls
you,
that women that have done with men, dealt with men that come at them on some bullshit. I know niggas that lay
Yep.
up on girls' couches and just to have a place to
Oh,
stay, and they
guys are
really,
assholes too.
you know what I mean. So we've all,
100%.
goes both
so
ways.
It's
I'm
50
gonna
50.
respond to Chris. Literally, you just heard Duran say, and listen, be fair, you just heard Duran say, you don't move on to the next without addressing the past, right?
Right.
I don't ever, and this is when you realize when somebody has grown and matured, I make sure that I don't bring my past experiences into my current or future experiences. Having
Right.
said that, to address directly your point, Chris, I understand that you've dealt with women in the past that may have not presented themselves in the correct light. And that's okay because growing pains is part of what we do. But do not make the mistake of thinking that I am that person and that you need to interact with me in such a way in order to date. Because I will tell you, it's just a simple question.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. You don't have to tell me that, but I'm good. I'm good.
No,
What?
I'm just letting you know. Like that is my approach to that question. That's my approach to that premise. That's my approach to that point of view that you put on. And I understand your opinion. I do. But I'm just letting you know, just like I can't blame you for all my heartaches, don't blame me for the women that you dealt with in the past. You ain't got
Go
nothing.
go. What I will say is that anybody on here is on here because we're willing to put our actual emotions on the line. So I don't think anybody here would one ever judge you or two like the fact that like I mean this might get 10 views, this might get a million views. You never know like cuz that's how social media works. But what I'm telling you is like the fact that we're willing to put it online, I don't think anybody on here is like that person that would ever just like, like just take it for granted. Like everybody that's here, I think they're here for a reason and they're just trying to give their perspective. but I don't think anybody means malice. I don't think
No,
any.
no, no. Oh,
The
trust me.
fact that we're all here is just like this
Hey,
is
nobody's got
the
no
most
malice, right?
vulnerable
No,
I've
no
been.
one got no
I
malice.
did it because like
But
I
let's go
told
here though,
myself like
Danny.
I
Let's go
just
here
want
though,
to
Danny.
be vulnerable.
So, Danny, maybe I'm coming off as being super.
You're
I
not.
don't know what the word
No,
is,
No,
but
no,
like,
no. I was
We're
gonna
having
say
a
this though.
discussion.
I was gonna say this though,
oh,
but here's another thing because I like what you said, but there's another thing that you have to look at is when you said like it's not that everybody's here to be vulnerable. That's not true. Everybody's here to learn. That doesn't mean you walk into a situation vulnerable to learn. You could be very guarded, and I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just saying you could be very guarded and learn. I'm not saying that towards anybody. But
well,
what I am
Yeah.
saying is this. What I am saying is that on a separate thing, people as human beings who are expressive, which we all are, we have points that we want to make. We have positions that we have on certain things. So every single one of y'all, myself included, at some point in the little bit of time I've been on this, has represented an ideology, like waved a flag for something, right? This is what it is. And all of us, it's very hard to have a talk like this and not. You're just gonna sit there and be complete. If you
Ashley.
have a fucking opinion, you representing an ideology on a certain level. So what I'm saying is that sometimes we have these things that we want to say, and because the language you use is very specific. When we use words like triggers, people take trigger as that means I'm offended and I'm taking it in a sensitive way. I'm triggered. Sometimes you're just reminded of something that makes you have a thing you want to express. So these words like trigger back people. Well, I'm not triggered by that. I'm not. It's like when you tell a motherfucker you're emotional, and they be like, "I'm not emotional." Emotion doesn't mean you
That's
soft. A
guys,
motherfucker.
dude.
No,
That's
but
what guys suck at.
hold on. Absolutely. But what I'm saying is, if you tell a guy he's emotional, anger is an emotion. That's not softness. So you got to be careful with we all have to be careful with the words we use. And all I'm saying is that sometimes people get in these kind of discussions. Myself, definitely.
okay. Well, let me jump in here because one of the things that that why I want to do this conversation and do it at happy hour because one, let's be real, dating in general
I
is
don't
a
really
sensitive
have the same
subject.
sympathy because I know she
Okay,
kind
well
of be
that
on
just
some bullshit sometimes. So
we missed like 4
things
minutes
like
of what you
that
said, so we gonna have
Yeah,
to
bro,
are
you
really
broke out, bro.
yeah you
That's
froze.
like
Yeah,
Cali
you froze.
internet.
Like we missed
That's
a
like
lot of what you
Cali
said.
blackouts and shit, bro.
So let me say this. And when it with dating, it brings a certain level of emotion. Like it genuinely does because everybody here, to Chris's point, to a certain degree, we all have different experiences coming into this. So I agree. Everybody's going to represent their own experience in dating. Like that's what shapes your view, and that's fine. The thing that I look at is
because this is a
it.
political discussion, and we all have our political views. This
I
is
don't.
political.
This has zero to do
Okay.
with politics.
All right. Listen, we're not going
This
to even go
is
there because
like
we're gonna open
this
up a whole
is
different can of worms.
guys and girls like we're trying to
Yeah.
figure each other out, like because we're from Venus and Mars and
No.
all
If
that
you
other bullshit.
understand what I mean when I say political, I'm not saying it's governmental policy. Politicals. There's politics in the guy at the grocery store that you talk with. Politics. I'm not talking about
We're not
I
government
going
get
to
it,
shit.
go
but
politics.
what I'm saying, Chris, is the fact that like
Look
to
up the
your
word.
point, everybody individually has an ideology because we come from different backgrounds and we're looking to express where we come from. So like I wanted to have a discussion with honestly you guys are giving me a better discussion than I was planning to have. But I think one of the things that you have to take a look at is understanding what you're looking for. Like forget what anybody is doing, a generality or anything like that, or who's out in the world there. Dating really comes down to who you are and what you're looking for. Because let's be real, Danny, I'm gonna use you for an example because we have
Go
more
for it.
information about your dating. If you're dating online, right, there is a drastic difference between OkCupid and Match. You might find the same people, but people's
Oh,
intent,
bro.
the
Like,
people's intent. But
like
here's the
I
thing.
would say between Tinder and Hinge, Hinge
Okay,
is like
well, first of
people you
all,
actually might want to date, and then like
but what I'm saying
Tinder,
is,
that's
but
not.
what I'm saying is, there's a narrative in the places, right? So I'm gonna just put it out there. I met my wife on Plenty of Fish, but here's the thing: I was not looking for a wife. I was just like, hey, I don't know exactly who or what I'm looking for, but if I find somebody interesting, I'll be interested in going out with them. Because how we are always taught is there are plenty of fish in the sea, so let's see what's out here. If I had said I was ready to settle down and find somebody, I'm gonna be on eHarmony and Match trying to sit there and be like, well, I've gone out in the world and I've searched across there. And my thing is, I feel like if you're on eHarmony and Match, you probably are catfishing and lying about who you are or who you think you might be and want to be versus playing fish. You like, look, I got 4 baby daddies. I'm really work nights. All I want to do is be like, hey, what's happening? Because I saw those people and I was like, maybe I just want to have a conversation. What you up to? Because it's 2:00 in the morning. I'm not doing nothing. What you up to? That's fine. But being honest with yourself and who you're looking for and realizing that you can't hold someone to a standard based off who you feel you are and you met this person and they're not that, then let them go. Like the easiest thing in the world to do is let a person go. One of the greatest dating tips I ever saw somebody say, not gonna put them
You
out there.
say that, but it's a little hard.
No, but I've dated. Like you're coming in a different place. But what I'm saying is, I know a guy that would go to a club. He would buy a girl a drink. If she was just basically like, I'm not interested in you, he would buy her a drink and walk away because he appreciated the fact that she was not wasting his time. Like,
I don't pay for attention.
That's gangster Mac right there. I like
but
that.
my point in all this is saying that we all have a different perspective. Like I'm looking at this, and we have 6 different views of the same experience called dating. And I think that
that's why we're having the conversation.
Right. And I think I'd like to hear from the women more because we out here just mansplaining the world, and I'm like, even I'm
mansplaining.
I would say we just had a couple more shots than they have, so we're like a little bit more
I'm sober.
Ashley over there not look like.
Yeah, I just want to
she done turned that up a couple of times, and
yeah.
No, Ashley's just trying. I think Ashley's trying to hold it in. She's like, I'm
hey, Ashley's being quiet because I'm hitting her up on her DM, so she can't like.
Danny, your jokes are terrible. I just want you to know that.
The greatest look away ever, Ashley. The greatest look away ever.
You saw that? She was like,
I don't even know what my wife just said because my pictures there. I gotta like read it. The hardest thing to do is take the knowledge to the next relationship without taking the pain. Healing is a process. If you're still angry about the past, you may not be ready for the future. Look, that's why I married her. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Yeah, that's right. And then to add to something that Danny said is this is something interesting. You said when Jerron, Jerron, you got legendary fallback game. Your ability to fall back on some shit, you just a master of, you're a complete control of yourself. I was gonna say what Danny said when you made that comment about just letting somebody go. He said, "Oh, it's not that easy" or something like that. Some people, get attached, and then to take it away from just saying, "Oh, they're attached" or they in denial. Some people are actually making the effort that we're told we should make to try to work with people because sometimes shit is kind of small. It's not like, somebody punches you, steals your wallet, and runs off, and then you like, oh, okay, little things. Like, for example, the girl that I was talking about, particularly earlier when it was brought up about specifying to me to the restaurant she wanted. I grew up listening to rap shit, so I'm like, oh, this girl trying to play me, nigga. But then I said, wait a minute, maybe she's just in her own world of like, yeah, I really want to go to this restaurant. She liked me. She's considering me. Like, she's like, let's go there. And that's just, she's thinking, it doesn't necessarily have to be because, like, I don't know me and that girl she ended up having a boyfriend, so it didn't end up happening. The point I'm making is I don't know, and I'm not saying that she was trying to get me to take her to dinner, but to a specific restaurant just to buy her a meal. But I just brought that up as an example of sometimes girls will specify a place they want to go when they're texting and not even talking to you, and it feels that way. So in that case, you know what I mean? Like in that case, I was trying to work with it. Like, well, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm putting too much on it. And I'm accusing her because we all have, just like girls. I've had girls where I walk up to them and introduce myself, and they're like, "Oh, so you just be out here trying to holler at me?" I'm like, "Yo, when am I supposed to not approach you and
Hey,
and try to,
Jerome,
let me do this because
what I will
Ashley,
say is you still have
hold
a
on, Danny,
couple
hold
more
on. I know
questions.
you have a point,
You still
but
got couple more questions, so like keep going through the whole like
I
itinerary.
will. But I really want to address Ashley's face because she gets these looks that I really just know there's something that she wants to say, and we just don't let her get it
Oh,
out.
I've
So Ashley,
seen it. I've
please.
seen it.
What was the discussion? Because I
Oh,
forgot.
because I'm out here, Ashley. So I just go ahead. If
Whatever
you
you
have
want to
something you want to
say.
say, please read the riot act.
Oh, you mean like what's literally been on my mind?
Yeah,
Anything the
yeah.
whole
I
time.
do not know who Chris has been dating, and I don't know what song he based his life off of. But you got a lot of like biases that's built off of whatever negative experience that you had.
oh man, I knew it was coming. I
Like
knew it
the
was coming.
music and your cousin, and it seems like real tragic. And
Tragic.
in between my bourbon and listening, I'm like, bless his heart. I hope he dates a grown woman soon.
Hey,
But
well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I knew that you had an issue with me when I made the comment. This is really what it is. And since you say the word, it seems tragic. I'm gonna just talk to you on some real shit right now. With all due with all due respect, I was gonna say I'm I'm real specific with my language, right? And I have this thing about when people make absolute statements. Do you know what an absolute statement is? I'm just curious. If
I
you know
know
what I
that
mean when I
you
say.
keep saying absolute statements, but I also know that you keep summarizing the absolute statements that you think you heard.
Okay, fair enough. So not to put words in your mouth, but and maybe if I took it the wrong way, if anybody else wants to chime in, it seemed like you made a statement like if a dude finances at a certain place, it's not even a discussion. Did I interpret that the wrong way?
Yeah,
Did I interpret that the
you
wrong way?
absolutely did. Because
Okay. So why don't you clarify and be specific? Why don't you specifically say what you said about a man's finances in relation to your decision to date him?
So you heard someone say something about finances and the decision to date. You came on the conversation when I said I had a friend that dated for dinners, and Danny and I, critical hustle, I drank
Yes,
too.
ma'am.
Danny and I, Jaron was talking about, those people, and then as the conversation grew, my niece commented about if you don't have money to take people on a date, you shouldn't be dating because everything that you said sounds just like the guys that are dating people who they'll say they're going somewhere and then like 2 hours before the date they're like, oh, I'm tired, it's been a long day, how about I cook you a dinner at my house and we could watch a movie, because all he really wants to do is fuck you in the first place. So like everything that you're giving us.
How about answering the question?
Wait.
How about answering the question?
Oh, I'm
You're not
sorry.
answering the question. I asked you a specific question. I asked you a specific question.
I
I
should
asked you a
just
specific question.
absolutely derive with what I think you said.
So,
you can. I mean, we
back,
could all fill out. Hold
no.
up, John. Hold a second. I just asked you a specific question. I gave you the opportunity to clarify what you said specifically about a man's financial situation being dependent on your decision to date him.
So I absolutely gave you a specific answer because what you heard was never said.
No, I'm asking you now. I don't remember what you said an hour ago. I'm asking you now.
Did anybody hear me say that a financial
I'm asking you to clarify now. We're not talking about the past.
I can't clarify something that was never said, sugar.
No, I said clarify your position. Your position now. I'm not asking what you said. We're not reading transcripts.
Hold on, because I feel like this is getting taken out of context.
Yeah, we're all friends here. First of all,
no, hold on.
But if you're gonna lay tragedy on the nigga, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not. I'm saying we're not talking about reading transcripts.
So
I'm just saying. I'm asking you, Ashley. I'm asking you what's your position on that is.
He basically
clarify.
asking. So if you meet a dude, and he's like got everything that you like, except that his finances are not on.
No. That's not what I'm asking. I appreciate you coming in, but I'm just saying she made a statement that definitely addressed
Chris,
a man.
What's your question?
I'm asking it. If you stop interrupting me, I'm asking. I already asked it. I asked it, but I'm asking it again.
So I made a statement that you date at the level that you are. And if I'm dating you and you can't afford to take me on a date that's at my level, then I'm not the person you should be dating. What Chris heard was that financially, you got to be at a certain place to date.
So the date doesn't cost money. The date doesn't cost money.
What?
The date?
I,
No, no,
I
no. I'm
get
saying
what
you just said. Hold up, hold up, hold up,
actually.
hold up, hold up. She said that if you can't afford to take you on a date that's at the level that she wants, does that not? Are we not talking about money? Is that not a money thing? Financially, a date at a level, financial level, that's a money thing.
I don't
What?
know what exactly you want in this dialogue. I do know that you just came because I said that your dating life must have been tragic because you have a lot of opinions and you really want to like pick something up. But I don't know where you got the statement that you're coming from. But I don't
So
have the answer that you're looking for because you're going back to a place that never existed. So I
let
can't make that place
let
happen.
Hey,
let
Ashley.
Oh
let me
Let,
man.
interject. Let
Hey,
me
one,
interject
God
something
hold
here.
on.
bless. God
Let
bless.
me
So
I,
what's the
let me
next
I
topic?
hold on,
We
one
got like
second.
10
I
minutes
got
left.
I got a guest coming. But Ashley, what I will say is, when you want me to take you to McDonald's, let me
You got
know.
a
I
guest
got you.
coming, you
I'm
and
just kidding.
everybody
I'm
did
gonna take you
Danny,
somewhere.
Danny with
I'm
the
gonna take
levity.
you way
Danny
past
with the levity.
McDonald's. First of all,
Danny with the
first of all.
levity.
but
But I will. I got my friends are coming. But I'll be right
all
back.
right, all
Peace.
right, all right. He said be right back. But let me clarify something because I think what's being missed here is the dating statement. And Ashley, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I want to move to something different. So I want to make sure we clarify this here. What Ashley said
Mhm.
is if you can't date her at the level that she wants to be dated on, she's not the person. So the thing about it is like that's a true
She
statement.
said the word afford, my nigga. She said afford.
But that's the same thing.
She
But
said afford.
But here's the thing. It
No, no,
relates
no, no,
to
no. But
her.
we talking. No, no. But if
But
you say
problem with
afford, we're
avoiding
talking
things,
about money. Afford is
but here's
money.
the thing. But it's
where
to
is it?
I'm
her.
not stupid. I have
But
comprehension.
no,
I heard what was
but
said.
listen, Chris. What
No,
I'm
I'm
saying is
saying your
it's
problem is
about
you mad
afford.
that you can't
It's
afford
to her
something.
whether it's afford.
What
Whether
is the
But
issue?
here's the thing. Whether it's about afford in general or anything, it's about your personal. Like if you can't afford me,
Right.
I don't want to date you. I don't care how. If you don't have enough
Fair
money,
enough.
I don't want you to date me.
Fair enough.
That's the whole point. Go do what you're gonna do. Like I think
Fair
the
enough.
point that is
But in that statement, if you can't afford me, date the person that you can date. That statement never said that I'm expensive.
right.
The statement never said that it's
Right. It's
above
just
your
in
pay grade.
general.
Well, let's
That
let's then
statement never said that it's above your pay
then
level.
let's get into it. Expensive. You know what? No, no, hold on. You know what the amazing thing?
Mindset.
Whoever's hey Danny, mute that shit, man. You got kids, man. Okay. Who? The funny thing
I
about
got no kids.
expensive, yo. The
Hold
funny
on.
thing about the word expensive is relative. So what's
Right.
expensive to you might not, or what isn't expensive to you might be expensive to somebody who just paid a bill or paid a. We all pay bills.
Still,
Who might have dealt. We all pay bills. I'm saying a person who might have just lost some money. So a person's ability to afford a situation because the word afford was used. I'm not getting backed into any corners like I'm pulling words that weren't said. Afford implies money. Miss
But
me
here's
with any other
Chris. Hold
philosophical
on, hold
shit.
on.
No,
No, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold
no,
on.
no, no, no. But
Give me a
before
second,
I hold
everybody.
on,
Give me a second. No, give me a second, because give me a second, because this is the thing. This is my point. You're making a valid point, but you're missing the point of it's individual. Like
I didn't
it.
miss that. I
No,
didn't
but what
miss
I'm
that.
saying is you're asking her to clarify a statement when she said if it's me, not if in
She
general
just
you
did
can't afford it.
clarify it.
But what I'm
She
saying is
clarified it.
you keep going on to it, and I'm like, if anything, you're repeating what she just said. Like, there's nothing to get into because she's speaking
But no, but
directly about her.
I'm gonna tell you why I'm into it though. I'm gonna tell you why I'm into it because she took a stab at a nigga, and I don't get down like that. I didn't tell her what I think about. No, she told me my
I
dating life must be
Hey
tragic.
Chris.
Hold on, y'all. Hold up a second, Danny. Hold up, bro. Hold up.
you told
She
me
told
God
no, no.
bless you and I wish you the best. So you
Is that
really
a stab? Is that a stab? Is that a
I didn't
stab?
feel like it was,
I
if I'm being honest.
I said I wish you the best. I
preferences.
said
All
I
right,
wish you the
all
I
best.
right,
said my preferences
You
and
can
you
all
take it
right,
how you want to take it.
all
You can
right.
take
Look,
it how you want to
look,
take it, but that's
so I
Hey,
heard
hey,
everybody
Ron, go to the next question. Next
look, look,
question.
look, look, look. That's my
His
guy. Hold on,
comments
hold
are
on, hold on.
true.
That's my guy, but I got
so
to
your
stop this for a
feelings hurt
second
because I can't
because
do what you said to me. I'm sorry.
Ashley, I understand. Hold on, I had to pull this out for a second because here's the thing. This subject matter, like I said earlier, people are going to get touched in different ways.
Yep.
And the
This
thing that I
man
100%.
mad at me because I said I talked about a dating preference. You shouldn't have made this a happy hour.
Well,
She's not
normally,
lying though.
I would have
normally the concept behind this is a point of people are going to feel strongly about their personal experiences. You know, like it's the truth. And I think what it comes down to, a lot of it is, I use the word trigger. I 100% always use the word trigger because people have triggers. It's you have your experiences. I'll tell you from a personal standpoint, just to bring this full circle, I had a best friend at one point date my ex-fiance. Now, he followed protocol and asked me if I was okay with it, but my thing is, like, there are things that are going to be triggers. There are things that I've seen in the world that I grew up in that you see with women. But it's one of the reasons why I determined that you can't carry your past to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. What I witnessed in this comment here is basically it came out to feel like it was building. Like, so this whole conversation has been building, and unfortunately, Chris fit a role and ended up coming off as a villain, and but he built it. But no. I'm not saying to you guys, because the reason why I specifically chose you guys is because I know that there's nobody that is going to put you in a position that you can't handle yourself. However, there's a point when you stop having a discussion, and then it becomes we're going to battle. We're going to battle a point. And I knew that when you said tragic, I knew he was going to take it. I'm from the same place. Words just come differently to people. I'm being honest about that. So it's not a situation where a point where we couldn't finish having that conversation, but there's a point when there's no more listening. And so even in terms of, like I said,
tragic.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is,
you did not sound hurt.
But what I'm saying is that in this discussion, the goal of what we're trying to figure out at this point is
we're just listening to everybody.
Well, no, it's not even that. I wanted to really address what dating is like. And the thing that I knew you were going to get into is, if you get deep into dating, is you're going to get pain. People are going to speak their pain. They're going to speak their experiences. My reason why I took Chris out of here, honestly, and I would tell him this when I talk to him, because we're going to talk about it later, is instead of him saying, I'm bothered by what you said to me, he took a different route to go. And I'm like,
it wasn't a jab. He asked me, and I answered his question.
No. And I'm not saying that you had an intent to jab or anything like that. Oh. But I'm saying that when it comes down to it, what I find to be important is, if we're gonna have this discussion, we have to have it honest.
He just so wanted you to say.
If you say something that I think is offensive to me, I'm gonna say, look, I'm kind of offended by what you said, so I want to clarify, because that's where we are. I can't come around and give you a different view and say, well, when you said this, because now we're just going to keep going back, because now I'm attacking you, trying to find a button.
Tell me what I said if it's something I never said.
But right, and that's the thing. So the reason why, like I said, the reason why I removed him was simply because of that fact of we had got past the point where we were going to be able to have a discussion because a button was pushed. And so in order to keep the conversation moving forward, my thing is, we're trying to understand, because there are a bunch of single people out in the world that the dating experience is different. I mean, look at what we're looking at here. Zoe said that he was engaged and that didn't work out, and now he's getting back to dating. Danny is dating after a divorce, if I'm correct there, right? Like, you guys have your own individual
11-year relationship.
Right. So there's a thing that comes
all my
from
20s, basically. So I'm basically new into the dating game.
Right. Jumping in at age like 30. And this is a different experience.
0 kids, though.
Well, first of all,
I hated that. I hated that, and it bothered me. But now in the dating world, it helps out. But it irked me initially. I was like, man, I feel like I wasted all my 20s. Like, I don't even have kids to show for it. But what I will say is, like, in the dating world, it helps out when you don't have kids. But to me personally, when it first happened, I was like, I felt like I wasted all my 20s.
Yeah, because kids affect finances for dating. Kids affect the type of women you get to date. It
Yep.
affects a lot.
Agreed.
Trust me.
Agreed.
I
So
love how in the comments people are going in on Jerron and his Waterburger comment.
I would like to I'm gonna bring this up because I'm gonna address this real quick and then I'm gonna move on because you're not gonna just offend me inside my own event and then talk crazy. You're out here talking crazy, Dave boy. That's right.
Wait,
I
you like
don't
In-N-Out versus Whataburger? I'm done. I'm
listen.
cut.
You know what?
Hey, director.
So you saying
know
you
what?
don't eat Whataburger?
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, what I'm
I
saying
love
is,
Whataburger over In-N-Out.
listen, but you're drunk.
I will tell you that sober.
but I'll be honest with you. I love you because you're honest about how you feel. And really, like I said, I really wanted to touch on these things because truthfully, these discussions don't happen so freely. Like
No.
most people want to curate it. I don't believe in curating it. So I really take whatever you get is what you get when it comes. But there's a point where I believe that you have to be honest with yourself. Like you have
Brittany,
to.
it doesn't matter if he's from Cali. Whataburger's still better than In-N-Out.
Listen, I don't even want to talk to you about any of this In-N-Out stuff because you guys are all lying to yourselves, and I'm talking about being honest with yourself. And I can't do it
I
when
have
you're
an
continuously
In-N-Out
lying to yourself.
5 minutes from my house, and I've had Whataburger a million times. It's still way better.
In-N-Out
But-
got pet pills.
In-N-Out is just out.
They got better sauces, but they don't have better burgers.
You don't
That's
need
the
sauce
difference.
if the
Okay.
if the is good.
I'm not taking no
Okay.
date to In-N-Out. I'm sorry. I take Whataburger first.
Let me tell you this. Though. If
Brittany-
she's from California,
Brittany
if
knows.
she's from California, take her to In-N-Out. If you want to keep her, take it In-N-Out. Then take her to Whataburger. But let her know you represent the turf. But no. So seriously, like when it comes to the dating world, like just straight dating world, the question that has to be asked is, what are you looking for? Because in this whole discussion, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm texting Chris right now because I really want to bring him back because I think that it's important for this point only. Is there's a question that none of us have directly answered. Danny kind of alluded to it. Ashley, you alluded to it as well. Is what are you dating for?
Mhm.
Like, what are you specifically looking for? Because a lot of the differences that come into it is if we're not dating for the same purpose, there's no way we're going to see eye to eye on it. It's
Right.
just not possible because Danny at 31 is looking for a wife, kids. Like he's ready. He's looking at settling down. At 31, I was like, I'm about to go to Japan. I'm out in these streets. Let's have a good time. I wasn't thinking about being in a relationship. So I was like, I'm cool on dating. I'm just going to live my life because I knew that kids and things could happen later on. But I know that it's very important to address having that understood is that dating is dating. However, I brought up earlier dating with a purpose. What is your purpose when you're dating this person, when you're asking this person? Because everything else is semantics. What you're willing to spend, what you're willing to do is all dependent upon what the purpose is you put with that person. As a guy, I will say this because luckily I found the love of my life and I can wonderfully say this. And I tell this all the time. The difference between her and anybody else that I dated was I knew she was somebody that I wanted to invest my time in. I always said that if I find the right person, I just want to be able to look up. If you can make me look up from my focus of go, 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 then I know you're a person worth spending the time. However, if I can look to the right, then you're not the person I'm going to invest my time because I'm going to keep moving forward and I'll go over to the right whenever I need to go over to the right, but then I'm going to get back on my path. There's a point where you have to really begin to look at what is your purpose for the person. Because I agree with you, Ashley. If they're not on the level that you want to be dated on, then no, they're not the person for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can't feel bad if you can't afford the person and not even afford or anything like that. But it's like, if I date a girl who wants a Bentley, like I know I can't, like I tell her the first date, listen, I'm not the guy. I'm not going to get you a Bentley. I tell Brittany I'm
Same
not at a
exact
Corolla
Well,
thing.
level
it's a
now.
slow car anyway, so who would
I feel
want to
like
drive a slow
if
car,
the
right? Like, what the hell? Like, we could get way faster cars than for that money. I'm just kidding. That's
I
just
feel
me
like
bringing
it's
But
levity again. I'm
just the
sorry.
topic of being able to afford something, if that's a trigger to you, maybe you got some other issues that you should be working on. If you're dating with purpose, if you're dating because you like to go out, then that's fine. But if somebody's saying using afford in regards to dating is something that triggers you, then maybe for one, you're not the person that person
right.
should be dating. And for two, you're not dating for purpose. So affording something isn't something that's important to you.
And like
Because for me to say afford to date or needing to be able to date, um, being something that like strikes a chord, like you really have to think about like, okay, like you said, like what am I dating for? If I'm saying that this is the type of person that I date, and if you can't afford to do this, that, and the third, because for one, like you said, I can pay for my own food. I'll go there by myself. But if you're triggered by the word afford, then you should look at like your dating preferences, like
Hey, it's
what
not my fault I flip burgers.
burgers.
Yes, it is.
You need
I'm just
beef.
kidding. I don't flip
You
burgers.
need
I'm just
beef.
kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't flip burgers.
People need beef, but not beef like we beef and beef, like beef like cows.
But
But yeah,
so
but
like,
on that,
you really have to look at like what you're going for while you're dating. Um, what your purpose is. What's the end goal? Are
but
you dating because you like to go out to nice restaurants and you like to have somebody pretty or handsome sitting across from you? Or are you dating because you're looking for a life partner? Or because
and
you're looking for somebody that matches you?
and just like you're saying, dating with a purpose, because it's a lot of people out there dating, and everybody's looking for different. Everybody has their reason for dating when right now, and time dating is not the same as it was back then as
Mm-hmm.
it is now. So like me, I'm 36. So before my kids, dating was going out at parties and for college, like I said, college dating and stuff like that. I was in
Mm-hmm.
college. It was going to college parties, going to college events, going out to I forgot the little restaurant that was at Sam Houston. That was our little like spending
Are
a
you
lot of
talking
money
about
to take somebody. The little Mexican
mm,
restaurant with the margaritas and stuff.
I know what you're talking about though,
Guadalajara's
right
or
out.
something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
Guadalajara's right
Guadalajara's.
off
Yeah.
545.
So that was like taking a girl out to an expensive date. And back then, before the kids, I didn't care. You know, I had a job, running a fraternity. I spent money. I would, we can go here, we can go there. I have cookouts at my house, invite everybody over. Didn't worry about spending money. But dating now with kids, I gotta watch what I spend. And like, it is like a trigger when a female is like, uh, well, I only eat this, I only go here, I only go there. And I'll be like, well, my wallet and my kids and their needs come first, so I'm not gonna spend that type of money. If that's the only thing you're looking for all the time. But if you can meet me on the grounds of I can take you here for special events, special days and stuff like that, you know, I know how to manage my money. But I can't do that every week, every day or whatever. So dating before the kids, I spend freely. Dating after the kids, and then at the same time, what dating for me is I have a daughter. She'll be 14 in 2 weeks. I'm not bringing anybody around my daughter, and the number one reason is she's not my biological daughter, and so anybody I bring around her has to respect that she's not my biological daughter, and they have to be a person that I would want her to be able to look up to, not just anybody just wearing how most of these um, Instagram models and stuff be walking around the long hair,
Make
the eyelashes, and we only going here to eat and spending this money, Gucci Coach, because I don't want my daughter growing up like that. Then I have a son that's 12, so it's like I, I date for my kids. I date for me, my kids, So dating is different for everybody. So when I come across women in the past 2 years with dating, there was ones that was like, "Oh, you ain't got time for me because you got a day job, you DJ, and you got kids." Then there was those like, "Oh, I don't mind that, but I got expensive taste. Well, I can't waste no money on you. You know, it's been a real like journey. You know, I've learned a lot. I've learned, you know, what I can deal with, what I cannot deal with, what I'm gonna put up with, what I'm not gonna put up with. You know, I met a girl that had kids, but she, all about herself. You know, so it's you got to have a purpose. You have more of a purpose, like you said. After that, most women after the age of 28, most guys and stuff, after they already had kids or in their older age, when they get 30 years old or so, when you really try, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to settle down. You have a purpose. But when we was younger, it was just more so we out there just to have fun, and you know
Yeah.
whatever happens happens. You ain't worried about, y'all see where y'all can go and grow. But now it's more so like, hey, look,
Go ahead.
you
Go
got
ahead.
to be
Go.
more serious.
I see the look. I'm watching faces. Go ahead.
Okay. So honestly, this is what I'm hearing, and you guys please correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like everybody here is doing their own version of a pre-qualifier, right? So you've already set your standard. You know
Right.
exactly what you want. So, and this is why I say in the beginning, like these conversations that you have before you get to the wasting of your time, that's where the pre-qualification happens. That's when you qualify what's worth your time, to be frank and honest, right? If somebody's not meeting you where you at, you already know it off the honestly,
Right.
most women know it like within the first conversation. To be honest, most men, it may take you a couple of conversations. So if you're approaching women at, we'll throw it out there. If you're approaching women at the grocery store, at Whole Foods, uh, and you say, hey, I'd like to get to know you better. All right, that's great. But what does getting to know you better mean? Like I feel as though those those qualifying conversations, we'll just say that, those qualifying conversations make life easier down the path. Now, if you're not having those conversations, who are you, like, who is to blame for that? And at what point do those conversations become integral to your dating life? I mean, it sounds to me like Danny, Ashley. So it sounds to me like you guys are having those conversations. You already know what you like versus what you don't like. End the story. And if you don't like it, you're not going to proceed forward to waste your time on it.
Agreed. I
Right.
will not waste my time, but I will say is because I can't speak from anybody else's perspective, but I will say is like because I was married for 6.5 years that I know what I want or what I like or what I can or can't do. So that's why I know like what would work for me. So I have a different perspective also because I got married young and then divorced my right before I turned 30. So I definitely do know what I want though.
And I think that's super important. Like I said, it's funny that no matter which direction the conversation about dating goes, it really kind of starts with what's your purpose. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, I speak about it in a dating of understanding that I didn't date late. Like obviously I started my first date at 8, but I didn't date late. But I was always told that this is like there's roles to it. I was never taught a purpose. Like I never taught this with a purpose. This is just what you do. If a guy you like a girl and you want to go out with her, this is what you do. So even through high school, when you go through that puppy love phase, like nobody is teaching you about the purpose. Like I had a school that tried to say you should only be dating to get married. Well, fool, I'm 16. I'm not thinking about
Yeah,
getting married to anybody. So how do I even know what marriage is supposed to look like or what this person look like if I didn't get to know them? And I think that I think what happens a lot of times is we're left to figure out we're left to figure out the dating aspect on our own. In that process, we're left to try and figure out what it's supposed to be, and we get to this place where you don't figure it out. And maybe that's why it's 28 in your 30s, because in your 20s, let's be real, you're like, I'm free. I'm not under the thumb of my parents. I'm out here. I got my first apartment, got my car, got my job, got a little bit of money. I can do the things I want to do. Where are the people of the opposite sex? And then you got a bunch of other people that are your friends running out trying to figure out the same thing. So now you guys are all in it together, just like We in the club. It's club night. Ooh, he look good. Ooh, she look good. And let's be real, you're not in the club looking for your wife because that's insane. Like the music's too loud and it's too much alcohol.
Hey, maybe she likes to dance, bro. You don't know.
Let me find out after we go on a couple of dates that she want to dance.
Saying maybe she likes to dance. You don't know.
So let me say this: I've texted back and forth with Chris. I want to bring him back in because I've expressed the point of we needed to move the conversation along and we were not moving it. Now,
That's
I
fine,
would.
but I will say is I have to go in like the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So
That's fair because I didn't even think
Yeah,
we was
we
gonna
about
get
to
this
hit
long.
stage.
But I felt like we had to. Where you? Well, never mind. I'm gonna talk to you later about where you.
I'm at
DJing at.
19 hoes.
Okay.
I don't have no problem.
But I'm just gonna let him back in. So, Chris brought you back in, and so
Hey, so we will move forward, and I would just like to echo what you said, Jerron, which I had already said, but you echoed it in my absence. I don't know if you're aware, but I was able to watch the show
yeah,
for a little while. Okay. The reason why the conversation went where it went is because I was attacked and an assumption about my love life history using the word tragic was brought up. I never said nothing to nobody about nothing sounding like anything about them using any kind of negative words, and let the record reflect. We can move forward on that and you can sip your wine and enjoy the victory, but just let it be known
oh,
that's what happened.
time out. Okay,
Let it
all
be.
right, hold on, wait.
so
One thing.
Danny, this
I have
don't
to
involve
go.
you, man.
No, I
Danny,
have to go.
relax.
I have to
Danny,
go, bro. I have
Danny,
to go, Chris.
then
So
go.
I'm just saying is
Why you always
bye.
jumping in?
No, I know. Hold on. Goodbye, everybody. I appreciated the conversation. I will talk to you all another time, and I enjoyed it all. And I hope you all have a great night.
thank you, Danny.
Enjoy y'all's
I'll
night.
talk to you later. I appreciate you coming
Have a
through.
great night.
Love all of you. Bye.
So here's what I want to say to bring this question, because Chris, this is where we're at right now. So, in a purpose of dating for you right now, what is your purpose of dating?
Depends on the individual.
Well, I'm saying for you.
Let's be grown though.
Right.
It depends on the individual, because here's the thing. My purpose in life, right? Or better yet, not my purpose in life, my ultimate goal in regards to the romantic sphere.
Oh, he got Whataburger. Hold on.
My ultimate goal,
Don't mind him. Go ahead, Chris.
my ultimate goal, obviously, is to find a queen and start a family. No question. But that doesn't mean that every person that I would consider going on a date with is based on that. And I don't think anybody in here can't say that they've ever, well, I don't know everybody in here, but I'm sure, I would imagine everybody here at some point or another has been in a point, if not they are now, where they're willing to go on a date with somebody that they're not immediately looking at like, yes, I could marry this person right now. You know, so what I say is it depends on the person. Like, I've met girls and I'm like, yo, she's cute, she's dope. I don't really, she doesn't look like somebody I necessarily think I want to marry, but I'm down to go out with her. But then I've met women that I've been like, yo, this is the woman I wish I could be married with. So it just depends.
Let me ask you a question to
Not
piggyback that.
monolithic.
Let me ask you a question. So, at what point when you figure out this may not be a person that I want to marry, or I just want to, well, I'm not gonna say we want to marry, like, but the person that you want to spend time with, like, how much are you investing of yourself into that person that you decided that I don't think this is gonna be long term. This is just the time that it is now.
I don't know if y'all ready for this realism I got for y'all, but I'm gonna bring it because I've decided that I'm gonna bring it. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I would say half of the time I know just by looking at a person, like they're girls that I'm attracted to, but I don't look at them and be like, oh, that's kind of what I see my wife looking like. But she's cute and I would love to date her and hang out. And then there are other people that I look at and I'm like, yo, she potentially could be that, but I'd have to find out. So it's a 50-50 thing. But
Well,
it's,
what?
I'm not gonna sit here and try to sound like everything is based on, and also just for the record, there's nothing that's not noble about that. There's nothing about that that's some low class thing. It's humanity. Just like a friend of mine told me a few months ago, or no, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, you know, you can't be dating single mothers because it's wrong. If you don't want to marry them, it's wrong. And I hit him up. I said, bro, because I don't want to blow him up online, but I said, bro, you know, there's single mothers that will tell you in a minute, like, I got baby daddy drama, I got kids, I'm not trying to settle down, I just need somebody I can do my thing with. So according to that man, you're not supposed to date that person when she might just want to have a good time with somebody. So when people make these absolute statements, which is what I always get back to, you got to be careful.
But I guess what I'm saying is, because this is what we were talking about before, about where everybody's at in their term of purpose, right? Daniel was speaking on purpose of trying to find a wife and looking for what he wants at this point in his life. Ashley mentioned that at this point now, or she said earlier, like that she's at a point where she's looking for the person that she's going to build her life with. Gogo didn't get a chance to answer that question. Zoe is at a point where he's thinking about the people that he's going to bring around his children there. And I think that in having these conversations, a lot of it is purpose. I admit, when I met Brittany, I didn't have a purpose. My purpose was really, I just want to find somebody that I can hang out with, that I'm cool and want to spend time with. If it becomes something else, great, but that's really where I'm at.
And there you go. And you make the point better than any of us could have. Your intention was just looking for somebody cool to hang out with. You didn't have this majestic purpose of finding somebody to be wed. You were looking for somebody cool, and look where it got you. So if everybody walks through with this holier than thou shit about I have to meet somebody that I could see myself marrying, you never know what's going to happen. But if you're open-minded,
but this is what I'm saying. My purpose was to find a person I want to spend time with. Like, it wasn't like I have a purpose of I'm just trying to get some. I don't have a purpose of this. I was just like, at this point right now, if I find a person that I want to settle down with, that's great, because I'm old enough to recognize and accept that is into my life. Because the thing about it is, I will say this, as a person who was not looking for a wife, knowing that you're at a place to be what my idea of being a husband, because I will say that you can't date wanting to find a wife if you haven't been honest with yourself, if you're ready to be a husband. Like, I don't care what anybody says, I will always defend that point that I said, at this point in my life, I can be somebody's husband. So now let me find somebody that can be my wife.
I agree.
And so
I
agree with it, but I will just
add
this. Peace. I agree with what you said, but the one thing I will say this is going back to the earlier theme of it's a different take on it, but potential to a degree, you might not be ready today. You might meet somebody tomorrow, and in the process of getting to know them, you might develop into a state of readiness. So you always have to have the open mind. You always have to be open-minded. You know, I may have come off earlier, not to regress, but I may have come off like I'm not open-minded. My mind is all the way open. I just, sometimes things are not as it's not as easy to put a nice little ribbon on top. Shit is complicated. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a guy, I've never, ever in my life treated any woman I've ever spent a minute with any less than any other woman. Like, I've never treated somebody like, oh, this is just some girl, I'm just whatever, so I'm just going to be like whatever. No, I'm not like that. But I haven't looked at every person as the same. You know what I mean? Like, because people are different. So getting back to what you just saying, well, you probably have a point. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna ask Ugo and Ashley kind of like in their perspective of dating and what they're seeing as counterparts. You know, when you're meeting gentlemen that you want to date, like your place where you are right now, how do you look for a reflection upon yourself? Like, when I speak about Brittany, I knew that she was special to me because, like I said, I knew I was ready to be a husband. So I had to find somebody that, one, I want to be their husband. Because now I know that I can provide and be the person that I think I should be as a man for someone. Okay, who's going to get that? And my thing was, if you're not worthy of it, I'm not going to give that to you. So, and to Chris's point, I will say this. Knowing him as long as I've known him, he's 100% honest. He treats everybody with respect and there. I will tell you that as nice as you guys know me to be, I tell Brittany, everybody didn't get treated the same. I grew up knowing you can only treat one like they're special. If you're going to have multiple, everybody should know exactly where they stand with you. So you give them the freedom to be whoever they need to go be. When I figured that out, my dating experience changed because I could tell a girl directly, hey, you know what? I'm not the guy for you. We don't need to talk about kids. We don't need to talk about nothing else. You want to go see a movie? You want to go to a play? You want to do? I'm that guy. But on some, what about our futures? We don't have one. So you should go find whatever you're looking for. And I learned that from a person who was a serial cheater and that, but he was like, women just want honesty. If you can give them honestly who you are, they'll choose whether they want to deal with you or not. And that's fine. So cool. Once I came into that knowledge of myself, like, I'm ready to be a husband, but I also am not going to be out here just trying to make every girl a wife. Like, it'll come when it comes. But hey, I want to date and be free. But I also know that I'm ready to accept what comes in my life if I meet that right person, and I'll shut all this down because I know this person makes me want to be their husband.
And yeah, and there is a fine point to like the finer treatment, like meaning like if you were to sit and observe, if we were all to go to the nicest restaurant in our city that we live in, right? The nicest restaurant, if in normal conditions where people were just normally doing their thing, and you observed the maitre d' in the finest restaurant, right? You would watch them treat everybody, welcome to, but when Obama walks in, or the head of the bank, or somebody that's a distinguished individual, that courtesy is going to raise to another level. And that's a good analogy, in my opinion, because it's like you're going to treat everybody with courtesy and kindness, but there's certain people you're going to dig a little deeper and give them, more. So like treating somebody that you're like, yo, this is somebody super special. You're going as you should, because you can't treat everybody equal, but you can give everybody kindness and courtesy.
Right. So, actually, I want to bring that to you guys. So tell me about, like, what is that? Like, how do you vet that person? Because I've never asked Brittany this about what do you see that makes you say, I want to give this person more of my time.
You want to go first, Gogo? Oh, okay, I'll go. So I can relate to what you say as far as like, it was a point where I was like, you know what? I don't know what I want. I know what I don't want. And knowing that keeps me stuck in getting what I don't want. But whenever I open myself to like, okay, talk to these people, you want something serious. At least you know that you want something serious. Then I had to get to the point of like, what's acceptable. So pretty much the guy that I'm talking to now, like, he came in this situation like, this is what I want. This is what I want from you. And so we able to have the conversation, like meeting each other where we are, and then going from there. So if I can't have a conversation with you, if I can't get from here to there in the conversation, or if we can't reason or get from like, okay, this is my ideology, and then we sit down and we digest it, then we can't move to the next step.
All right.
But if I'm talking to you and like we can have this statement, and then we take this statement and then we discuss how he feels, we discuss how I feel, and then we come to the common ground where either, okay, I was wrong about that, or either, okay, thank you, I just learned a lesson, I was right, you just learned how I think this process through, or you just learned my thought process. Then we can move forward to, okay, so the next step is we get married, because I'm 35, so we always get married. And then I got a Pinterest board with our wedding on and all that other stuff. But yeah, so the conversation, the way it moves from like my thoughts, his thoughts, and our thoughts, is kind of how we get from that point A to point B.
All right. What about you, Gogo?
Brittany,
hey, how you doing?
Took the words out of my mouth. Like, those qualifying conversations that you have before you take that step and you decide whether or not like this person is worth your time, whether or not this person is worth your effort, your energy, your vulnerability, and whatever that looks like in your space. I honestly, personally, like me personally, I'm not judging anybody on this call. I just know that after the first two conversations, right, there's a slew of things in my mind that I want to address. Just like Ashley said, I want to see what your thought process is. Can I vibe? Can I follow? Is it logical? If it's not, we don't need to talk, because no discussion, no argument with us is ever going to be productive if I cannot follow your logic. That is a big thing with me. I need to be able to see if you're logical enough for me to follow. And if I'm not able to follow, doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with you. It just means that you and I aren't on the same wavelength, so we need to separate.
I like that.
Thank you. Another thing that I do is, what is your emotional intelligence like? That is incredibly important in our state, in our mind, in our frame. What, especially to me as a woman, what is your emotional intelligence like? How do you relate to somebody that you may not necessarily have the exact same feelings as, or you may not even understand? How do you empathize? What does your sympathy look like? And it's just, and it all brings together like a full circle. You know, you have those conversations when you realize what that person's intentions are. Are they looking for a fuck buddy? And if they are, nothing wrong with that. I'm not the person for you.
I have a question for you about emotional intelligence. Do you have any like when you're in the early stage of getting to know somebody, do you have any, like, I don't want to say like any method of deducing a person's emotional intelligence? Like, you know, for example, like I was saying earlier, you can have some conversation with people and you don't necessarily know how they're going to deal with heavier, more difficult things, you know, how they disagree, how they deal with, you know, things like that. So do you have any, like, you know, probing tactics, so to speak? So
for me, my background is in psychology, and I've learned through just honestly experience watching a lot of things, reading a lot, y'all, like a lot of reading, that the human mind is super complex and you cannot pin down what somebody is going to reply to. So for example, for me, my explanation of if that person has enough emotional intelligence, or at least an adequate amount to where we can move forward, is it's very simple. I'm having a bad day. Can you empathize? What is your response? If your response is to blow past that and move on to, so what are we doing tonight? I just told you I'm having a bad day.
Got you. Okay. I like that. That's a good one.
You know,
it's like you don't want to have a bad day to find out, but you know, I feel you. That's a good thing. You're right.
Yeah. So it's just judging that. And then once you are able to find a level that's acceptable towards you as a human being, you can move forward or decide, like, you know what?
Sidebar off that, because I'm actually interested. You know, the whole thing about some people, when they tell you they have a bad day, they don't want you to try to solve their problem. They just want you to, like, you empathize. Do you personally, if you tell a gentleman, I mean, it can almost be like, but specifically with men, if you tell a man you got a problem or something, and he's, oh well, maybe you should do this, or maybe do you take that a certain way, or you know, because some people I know they don't like that. They want, like in the movie White Men Can't Jump, if everybody remembers, when she tells Woody Harrelson she's thirsty, he gets her a glass of water, and Rosie Perez is like, why you couldn't just sit here and say, I understand your dry mouthedness, like that whole classic scene, which when I was little, it was so heavy, but now I've actually heard people, you know, say that, and I've heard people in the psychological realm discuss that. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I feel like there are two questions there. Clarify for me a little bit more, if you don't mind.
Okay. I'm sorry. The question is, personally, if you tell somebody you have a problem or a bad day, you know, and I guess it would be a problem that's like, you know, not like a, you know, not like I can't find my keys and they find your keys, but like a problem in the realm of feeling or whatever. If a guy's constantly trying to solve your problem, so to speak, emotional stuff, and just instead of saying, damn, I hear you having a bad day, or like, damn, you know, he's always saying, well, you know, you could do this, you know, you'd have a better day if you did this, you know, maybe if you stretched, or, you know, he's always felt like he was trying to be like so smart about, do you take that a certain way? Because I've heard some people do.
And Ashley, feel free to chime in on this. Me personally, it just all depends on who that individual is. Like, for example, there's a way that you can say, oh dang, you're having a really bad day. I'm so sorry that's happening, but don't worry, it'll look up. Like it's gonna get better. Like that's acceptable.
Right.
Or if you're like, oh hey, if you go outside, you'll have a better day. I'm sorry, huh? What does outside have anything to do with me having a bad day? That's a sign of them trying to have emotional intelligence and not quite achieving that, right? And it's almost a empathy question, right? If you're having a bad day and you walk outside and you feel better, does that mean that everybody in the world, when they have a bad day, when they walk outside, they feel better? So it's able to understand that who you're talking to, number one, who your audience is, and are they receptive? What are they receptive to, right? And that goes on with those qualifying conversations. You'll learn more about that individual than if you just going off the cuff. Like if to me, you don't know what my likes and dislikes are. You don't know what I enjoy. You don't know that I like rainy days. You don't know any of that. You don't have no context on that. So you just arbitrarily offering your opinion because you think I need to hear it at that moment in time is incorrect. It's an incorrect assumption of what I feel and what I'm capable of dealing with in that moment. But you won't know that if you don't have those qualifying conversations with them.
Right. Just to play whatever advocate would this would be. But what if a person, it's just me, I can't help it. If a person says, but actually, it's scientifically proven, that if you eat this food, you get vitamins, like cashews, for example, there, a handful of organic cashews is equivalent to a serving of a standard serving of an antidepressant, or going in the sun, I'm just getting on.
Hold on, Chris, because I want to actually answer this question, but I can answer your question, Chris. Go ahead, Ashley. So
Wait,
we'll go ahead and ask you a question, and I don't know. All right, let me answer Chris's question.
What's the question?
Okay. Well, let me answer Chris's question because I think I can give him a perspective on this because I had to learn something about this. So give me a second. So Chris, to your question, something that I learned in being with Brittany is, if you know me, you know I like to solve stuff. I'm a solver. Like if you bring me a problem, I'm gonna try and solve it. I have since learned that no man should try to solve initially until you're asked. That is the most important thing that I have learned. If I could give any man a tip in a relationship, if you know nothing else, know that your significant other is going to come to you with issues that you might have the easiest solution in the world. You might think, like you said, look, if you just eat this pomegranate, that is going to take care of all your stress. Keep that to yourself until she has said everything that she wants to say and looks to you and says, what do you think? Then you can say, hey, I heard that if you try a pomegranate and we have some in there, that may help you feel better. I know it sounds crazy, but you could try that. But I will tell you, as a man, do not try and solve it before they are finished telling you what it is, because it just goes wrong for us. And I had to learn that multiple times because my learning curve has been, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, okay. My bad. I'm going to shut up next time and let it go. So now the question of how is your day is now met with, and then what happened? And because now I'm like engaged and I want to hear it, and then it may end with, well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just having a bad day, and that doesn't require any solution. She said everything. It doesn't. You might have the answer. It doesn't require you to have the answer. It just requires you to listen. And I've learned this, and she just made a statement that I had to realize because, Chris, you've known me since we were kids. I process information really quickly. So if you give me A, B, C, I got D ready. I'm on board for D. And what I realized is that I heard A, B, and C. She might be on A, and I'm already at D. And I'm like, you know what? She didn't ask me all that. So
yeah, you answered. Or not that you answered the question, but you provided the insight, because that's a fascinating thing to me too, because I'm the type of person, same thing. I don't know, I don't know everything, but the things that I know, I'm very happy and usually eager to share. So it's like when you have perspective, but right sometimes, and also when you're offering something to somebody, you don't really know like their Like a person being in a person's in a bad mood, but you might not be thinking that bad mood or sadness or whatever negative emotion is might specifically make them less open-minded to potential solutions. Some people it affects like that, some people it don't. Some people get sad and they're willing to try anything. Some people get sad and they won't try anything. It's like so I hear you on that. That's a good point.
So I want to take the switch here because we're gonna turn the question here. So as ladies, are there questions that you have about guys that we can give you a perspective on? Because I don't want it to be a thing of just like, and I know what the thought process is here because I know both of you pretty well to know what the thought is, but I think one of the things that also happens, and there'll probably be another discussion down the line, is there's always this misconception. Like Chris kind of jumped ahead to ask, like, what do women want when this happens? And I think, like, I never knew that was.
No, I asked what Gogo's opinion was on it, and if she had any more insight, but I wasn't asking because everybody's different.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, I'm gonna say this. I think that might be a universal truth. I think women just want you to listen, and then like I have realized that past relationship issues have come because I wanted to solve something that didn't require a solution at that particular moment. There was a solution needed down the line, but again, they were on A. I had figured out D, F, G, H, and I, and they was like, I didn't cause the conflict trying to solve something between me and that person to where now we got a whole new issue. And I'm like, wait, I was just trying to help. And then you get to that place where, because honestly, when people start to argue, you stop listening to each other. You stop listening to a point. And one of the things that I will say about dating and relationships is you have to be in a relationship and not wear your heart on your sleeve, because you're dealing with another person. And sometimes how they communicate is not meant to be offensive, even though you're offensive or you're offended. And I learned that because I take my LA Compton, what did you just say? And think, wait, I feel offended by what they just said. And then I get naturally aggressive, like just natural, like, let's have a conversation about what you're not finna do. And they may not have meant any intent to that, but being married has taught, being married, because I didn't learn this in no dating process, because we had to be married for me to even understand with Brittany. So like really getting to understand, like, okay, this person functions like this. This is how they communicate. This is how they go. Like, I will say I fought the idea of love languages from the moment it was introduced to me till probably I sat down and really gave a thought to it. And, you know, honestly, if it's in a book, sometimes it's a real thing. So I accept my wrong faultiness in that. But I think one of the things that's important is you have to understand what your love language is. And that's why I said that I couldn't be a husband until I knew I was ready to be a husband. I didn't even care if another person thought I had husband qualities and I was the perfect 10 for them. If I didn't see it in myself, I don't care, because I'm looking at you like, I'm not your husband, you not my wife, I'm good. But it came to me understanding who I am to be able to venture out to say that. So even when talking about love languages, I didn't have a clue what my love language was. I'm still trying to grasp it.
I have such a story with a girl with the word love language. That's such an epic story. Like it's like the thing that HBO writers would kill for, because you know the things that happen. I don't know if you're interested, but it's a really funny story. But
I'm gonna get it offline, because I know I want to hear this, and I don't want to trigger something crazy out of myself. Because I'm gonna tell you, love languages for me is a trigger for me, and I say that because the trigger for me is I don't know my love language, so I naturally fight against somebody telling me, well, this sounds like this is what your love language is, because I don't telling me who I am is a very kind of like point of like, wait, no, I spend a lot of time trying to figure out who I am. So a person telling me this is who I am is like, no, that's not who I am. And you might be 100% right. Go ahead, Ugo. I know what that pen means. Go.
So here's where I stand on the love language talk. It's a common misconception that you have to pick one or two or three. all of them could realistically be your love language to varying degrees. Like it's not cemented. It's not an exact science. Haha. So to Dave Boyd's point right there, like if you have two fixers, then what? I'm technically a fixer. And I think most women to a certain degree are fixers. We problem solve. But whenever the flip side of that is whenever we're coming to somebody because we have a problem, it's not necessarily that we can't find a general solution. We may just want to vent. And emotional intelligence is knowing when you want to vent versus like knowing when to hush and listen versus when to say, okay, babe, this is what I think we should do. And then to your point, Jerron, you already addressed like, don't offer a solution unless you're asked. But fast forwarding back towards the conversation, for love languages, I do think that it's possible for you to have all of them, and even some that are not recorded. Keep in mind, this is not an exact science. They polled a certain amount of people, and this is the data they gathered from that poll. There are always going to be outliers, and it's okay for you to be an outlier. Honestly, it's also okay for you not to know what your love language is. Just understand that the person that you're yoked with or the person that you're connected to has already learned through experience on how to approach you and how to deal with you. And that's all that matters. If they're offering you what you need in the moment, that's great. Now, do you have the emotional intelligence if they're not to say, I need this from you and not this? And
that's wise. That's very wise. You kept it wise there. Spoke to my soul.
Right. And as a person evolves, could not their love language evolve? You know, what a person is looking for when they're 20 might be different than what they're looking for when they're 30 or 40 or 50, et cetera, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ashley. I know you were saying you were saying to say something.
Oh yeah. So the love language, that's a whole nother conversation. And I do agree with Chris. Like Ashley at 26,
Sorry, I never thought I'd see the day.
Oh, we good.
Like 26, 27, my love language was physical touch. But Ashley at 35, 34 and 3/4 is like, I want all of them. So that's funny because the conversation that me and the guy I'm talking to have had is like, so this is where we ranked on the love languages, but I should have all of them because I'm not majority one or the other. So when it comes to love languages, it's kind of like you have to be in tune with the person that you're with, but you also have to understand yours enough to know. Like me, I'm a communicator, and like Gogo said, we're fixers. So like conversations with Ashley is like, so this is what I thought, and then you get a whole essay about the thought process that went into our last conversation. So whenever I'm talking to him, it's like, so quality time, physical touch, but this happened, and then here you go, here's that essay, and then we have a meeting ground where we're like, okay, so this is what I want in this situation. Right. But getting to that point where you understand, like the person that you're talking to, I guess it helps if you know their dominant love language. So then you can like move.
I agree.
Move forward with like, okay, so this is the first thing Ashley's going to do is she's going to want your quality time. The next thing Ashley's going to do is she's going to cuddle up under you and do absolutely nothing. She's not going to talk. She's going to be a weirdo in your personal space. Do you want that? No. Then you don't want Ashley. Do you like that? Are you okay with that? Then yes. Okay, so we can move to the next step. Ashley likes going to eat. Ashley's low-key a foodie. She's gonna want to go to these restaurants. Do you want to participate in that? Yes. Are you going to get stuck on the fact that Ashley's highest percentage is quality time? Or are you going to get stuck on the fact that she pretty much has 50% here and 30% everywhere else? So it comes all in understanding like, okay, this person that you're dealing with on this day, they're this person. On the next day, they might not be a totally different person, but the percentages are going to change just a little bit from here to there. And being able to meet that, and not only being able to meet that, but wanting to meet that.
And you know what I like about what she's saying is like it kind of, I don't know if he's necessarily called it a language, but like with the subject of punctuality, mm-hmm. You know if the punctuality is so crucial to a particular person, then you really have to put, because what I was thinking as she was saying that in the side, I was like, you almost want to think, well, shouldn't I just be trying to be high scoring in all these categories? But if you look at it like you only have so much energy to give, so you're trying to give the energy, invest your energy into the most desired area of your partner. So if your partner really wants, you're trying to do the best you can that they're gonna like. So basically, I was gonna say, so if you're talking to somebody that punctuality is everything to them, then you really got to put that extra in on that. Whereas if you're dating somebody who's a little more loose with time and that's your way, then you could be like, okay, I don't really have to like exert that extra energy to be on time. And I don't know how being on time would take away from energy to put in other places, but it was just a thought.
I mean, people are there are things that are deal breakers, like out the gate. Someone who cares about punctuality and time, you not being on time, they may relate that to a whole slew of things that have nothing to really do with you, but that's just how they're built.
Absolutely. I had a girl break up with me because of that, because I was 15 minutes late and I called her and told her.
Well, I mean, but then we learned.
Long story, but at the end, that was like the final straw.
But here's what we learned at that point: she wasn't the person for you. Like that. That's the beauty of it. It's just, my thing is, can we not waste a lot of time finding out that we're not the right people for each other? Because time is precious, and at a certain point, you get there and you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to spend 6 months finding out this person's the wrong person. What I was going to say is, we were talking about this earlier about the listening, because I want to help the guys out, and like all the guys everywhere that ever watch this, if they get nothing from this 2.5 hour conversation, get this, fellas. For a woman to want to vent to you is her way of also telling you how important you are to her. So if you don't know how to shut up, take that moment and be as prideful in your soul as you can be, and just shut up and wait for the cue of, what do you think?
Wait. Could you back? I'm sorry to make you repeat.
No, I got you. I'll go back.
Repeat that. Yeah.
So when women vent to you, if they choose to vent to you, they literally are choosing. They're not calling their girlfriend. They're not doing anything. That's saying how much they think of you, about them, how safe they feel with you to express that level of vulnerability.
That's a bar.
So the mistake that we make as guys is, when they're giving us this, whatever's been basically shitting on them all day long, we now come in and we're shitting on their vulnerability. And it's like, no, just sit there and be prideful that somebody cares enough to tell you the problems they have nothing to do with you, because it's not you, it's everybody else. They're just venting to you, and they may feel 100% better. Like I tell Brittany all the time, I don't vent. Like the minute I start venting, I'm ready to make action. It's time. Look, let's get in the car. We about to ride. Like I hate complaining. Like I hate to complain. So when I'm at a point of complaining, that's my signal of something got to change. Because I'm using words.
What's cool about what you said is, you saying to help guys. It's very useful for a person that's not in a relationship. Case in point, if you already in a relationship with somebody and they venting, like, it makes me think of the scene of Hustle and Flow when they're sitting at dinner and she's just going on about her coworkers and he's sitting there trying to eat his food. But so you're already in it. But if anybody's venting to you early, then it's like, wow, like we don't even have history like that, but they're comfortable enough to vent to me. You shouldn't take it as something that irritates you, but I like that.
Let me say this. I don't agree with that. If somebody's venting to you too early, they might be batshit crazy. You got to be careful.
Well, yeah, true.
And I lean towards they're batshit crazy.
That's a bar. That's a bar. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
it depends on the level of venting and how frequent it is.
Yeah, I mean, normal, like, my day was bad, it's fine. But if you be like, my mama said that I need to do this, do that, maybe your mama was right. I don't know. Like, I don't know you well enough to know. Maybe your mama's, maybe you do need to get your shit together. I don't know. I don't know you well enough to know what to do with that. But it's funny, learning that now. I'm happy to learn this in marriage and dating. It makes me a better person. Because truthfully, single version of me knowing that would have made me a monster. Because I'd have been like, oh, so if I just sit here and listen and don't say nothing, I'm giving her the attention that 90% of the other dudes that's trying to get at her give her none of. Okay, this is a major key. I'd have clapped myself up and been sharing this in the world. And that's the reason why I wanted to have a dating conversation, because I know what it's like not to be in a relationship and try and date, and you're trying to figure stuff out and you don't know. And actually, I can really appreciate what you and the guy you're talking to are going through, because there's a level of maturity that's happening that normally doesn't happen in the dating world. Because I know I didn't do this with Brittany. I was like, I'm just learning. Like, I'm out here. I'm learned. I will say this about myself. I went to a psychologist pre-marriage because I was like, I don't know how to be a husband. Like, I need to understand me to be able to be the best me for this person. And I think that was super important for me, because I was like, I've never seen a successful marriage. So I don't really know like how to deal with these situations. What are my natural responses to these scenarios that normally I'd have been like, yeah, I'm out. That's cool. That's how you feel? All right, then, peace, player. But knowing that I value this person so much, I was like, I got to work on me. Whatever that means, I have to work on me to be better, to offer this person better. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, but I need to be the best me, because, and I wish Danny was here, because I'm curious about it. Like, when you get to a point where relationships end, how much of that is because you didn't do something in that beginning stage? You know, because at 22, you're definitely different at 30 than you were at 22. So you mature in a different way. But I'm happy to have gotten married late. It helped me out, because I was like, look, I just want to chill and figure out how to travel with my wife. Like, that was my biggest concern. I want to do things. That's why I love getting married in the Dominican. I was like, we setting precedent. We setting precedent right now. All right, that was my love. That was my love language to my wife. Go ahead.
You know,
got married in the Dominican. It was a great trip.
You know, it's a good point. A good point that you make that actually kind of speaks to a bigger issue than dating, but specifically in dating, is realizing that that painful emotions, like, or let me go painful emotion. Let me say things that bother you on a, like, you know, not I'm not talking about, you know, crazy, you know, like super traumatic shit, but basic shit. It passes. Like, friend of yours say some slick shit to you today, and it bothers you at like a 9, and then you go to bed and you wake up and that shit's like 5, and you're like, I'm glad I didn't text them how I felt last night, because I'd have let their ass have it. So and a lot of times it's really the accumulation of the little things in relationship that set the stages for that proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back. Because like what I was saying earlier about the girl that broke up with me because I was 15 minutes late, that really isn't what it was. It was accumulation of little things, but like the punctuality was the thing. It wasn't like I did this and I said this and I was it was never about me being mean to her or me being any, it was punctuality, but it was like repeated. And I'm like, she lives 3 miles from me, and I'm like, yo, I'm telling you I'm coming over, and I let you know in advance. But yeah, so the point is, a lot of times, you know, I saw her later and she looked at me like she regretted not being with me anymore. She gave me this long look, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, maybe if you'd have thought it through, it wouldn't have been as serious as, you know what I mean? It might not have been as serious. But anyways, so that's the thing I think a lot of times when you're dealing with, because, you know, I have had girlfriends, and I remember we'd get into little shit over things and then be mad at each other for 2 hours. And then eventually, you know, I usually was the icebreaker because I got more of a sense of humor, and I'd break the ice, and then we'd be laughing, and it'd be like, why are we mad for 2 hours? We just wasted 2 hours over some tiny, stupid shit. You know what I mean? So.
Well, it looks like you were taking notes to say something, so I felt like I should give you the floor.
I was just watching Ashley's face. That's all I was doing.
I got multiple screens, so I'm looking at like one screen and the other. So don't watch. Don't watch.
You lit, Ashley. You lit.
Because I'm looking over here like what's happening, and I'm reading and typing. So yeah.
No, I didn't have anything to say.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I'm gonna wind it down. You guys gave me all you had, and I appreciate it. I love y'all like white loves rice. I don't know. Butter. Listen, I'm the Belizean rum, which is actually pretty tasty with a little bit of sugar-free lemonade. Shout out to Keto. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to have this discussion. I definitely feel like I'm probably going to touch this with more people because I genuinely think that the world that everybody lives in now moves so much faster than love does. Like it just moves so much faster. And you don't even get to date really with the idea of like, you know, like is taking a moment to read a paragraph about who this person says they are before you can even really get to meet that person, you know, and taking the time to get to know a person. Like there's so many things that go into it. You know, we talk dating, but so much, as we said before, pre-work goes in before you have the date. When I was dating, I used to gauge stuff with, I'm gonna talk to this person today, make me feel like I want to take them out, or I don't want to take them out. Because right now, that's what we're figuring out. To this point, do I want to spend whatever money I'm willing to spend on you, or would I rather just go to dinner by myself? Like that's what we're gauging right now. We're not gauging. So what do you do for a living, or do I like you enough as a person to want to invest anything in you? And I think that personally, I would advise anybody dating, you have to be completely egotistical about how you date, because I'm dating about me. I'm not dating about you. I'm dating about me. And once I find something that works with me, then it's about us. But until that time comes, oh, you don't work for me. All right, away you go. Away you go. Or, you know what? You have this one quality that I think is great. I don't like none of the rest of them, but this one, I'm all for. So when I want to do that one thing, I know who to call, that I'm going to have more fun than anybody else that I can remotely get. This is what we do. Because ultimately,
but now you bring it up a whole other. I thought you was wrapping this up. You take it.
No, but I am. I am. But that's why you have to give. You see, you got to put the bait out there to make people want to come back. But my point is saying this. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time. Ashley, if you would like to tell people about your podcast, please do, because I think what you're doing is awesome. So go ahead. We'll go there.
Okay, so yes, I have a podcast. It's where we just wrapped up season 1, getting my cheese back on the cracker. It was an idea that came up with me talking to a friend about how I barely have my cheese on the cracker. Basically, I'm barely keeping my shit together. It's a Southern phrase, her cheese slid off her cracker. And so we basically talk about mental health in the Black community. And we just wrapped up the first season. And Gogo, there needs to give me the information so I can get you on. We're gonna probably start recording for the next season in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's basically just having those conversations, providing resources. We're building a resource bank as far as providing like therapists and networks where people can either use their employee benefits or figure out how they can get to therapy, get to a comfortable place mentally, and work on their mental health and get to that place where it's not so much of a stigma in our community to try to better your mind outside of what it is that you've been doing and just growing. So yeah, thank you very much for just allowing me that moment to tell about that. I love it.
It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. So, get yours on. Go.
Yes.
Anything you want to tell people there? I don't, All right then. No, well, again, thank you. Chris, I'm going to let you have the amazing last word, but I'm going to ask you, can you keep it to 2 minutes or less, because we all want to go and I'd have to go to the restroom.
Peace to the gods and earths.
Nice.
Well, there you have it. Appreciate everyone again, and thank everyone for tuning in. I don't know what to say. Like, this has been a wonderful night. We went through all the fits of emotion that you can have, and that's why I love it. It's good for the people. It's good for the soul. Yeah, we're going to continue this talk later on. I don't know who's going to be around it. I don't know if I'm going to ever find a love connection that I can make happen. I don't know. But that's kind of my purpose. My purpose
you got a goal to make a love connection amongst your guests?
No, like, man, can I have wishes? Like, if you be like, you want to be the reason something happened. Like, and then they found each other on the Critical Hustle. No, I'm out here trying to get view. I'm trying to get viewers and T-shirt buys. CriticalHustle.com.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the boy Danny was throwing his shot at Ashley. He was talking about DMing her and all that.
But here's the thing. He missed the point when she said, "So to me and the guy that I'm talking to." So he was already he was spitting in the
lead. I take the blame for that because of how we started. When I was like, "Are you being a gentleman because you want to date me?" Or I think that's my fault. I misled him.
It's okay, but at that point,
and no, nobody own me. I mean, I can date.
That's right.
That's a whole conversation for the guy that you're talking to.
Talking.
But here's the wonderful thing.
That's a great lead off to another episode right there.
Actually, I look forward to you and this guy, whoever he is, working out and going to your wedding and being able to look him in his face and be like, bruh, you done came a long way. Let me show you. But again, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time. Chris, I love you. You know you're my brother. We 8 years old to now, so
love you too, family.
But anyway,
and any friend of yours is a friend of mine.
Great. Any social you want to give out for you? All right.
Yeah, man. I'm Chris Clark. Chris Clark. You know, there's various configurations depending on Twitter because my name is people have it. So on Instagram it's Chris Clark with like 2 underscores. I'll pop up quick. I think on Twitter it's like Chris Clark with 3 E's because I got that righteous E on my name. And yeah, you know.
And there you have it. Thanks everyone. Talk to you next week. Or actually, no, next week is a holiday, so talk to you the week after that.
Ooh, the week after a holiday, talking about how the romantic life played out during the holidays.
No, sir. We give breaks. Let people chill. Find a whole new thing. I can't go back door to back door with stuff like that because y'all want to fight me. Peace, everybody.
Good night.
Night, everyone.
Peace.